many years? That's like 60. I mean, that's like 60 something years, right?
We're heading to
And then
65.
yes, and then even vice president, just after about a year of what's his name again? Ekweme,
Equema,
right?
yes.
No Igbo man has gotten any close to that,
All
right?
right.
So are you going to tell me it's by coincidence? Are we less intelligent? Are we less competent? So you find out that it's more of like being very intentional. And
Okay.
if you want the Igbos to come on board, especially like a nation or a part of the country where the rest of the nation teamed up and engaged in a war, right? Disseminating everything about us, and there was no plan for the 3 hours that was assured, to rebuild the region. It's still like a wonder that after all of those things, Igbos were where we are today. That even without political might, right, you have what we call shared prosperity, right, on a larger scale, more than, I mean, if you come like up north, yes, you can have like a few of the Dangotes, Dan like the big Alhajes. How many are there? And when you come into like a community like Newi, you know how many billionaires you can count there, how many millionaires, right? And
Right.
then some other communities in the southeast. So you talk about shared empowerment. Maybe in our Koda is like our own home of professors.
Okay.
Inspired that someone could take up scholarship, for a serious student and see you to the level of becoming a professor. That's to me like shared prosperity, not a situation where you have the few guys and every other, just, trying to play the rank adede game, right?
All right.
You know.
Before I start looking at Chukuma Ephraim Okenwa, CEO, as a peace ambassador, as a strategist when it comes to peace issues, let us look at the ravaging situation in the Middle Belt, giving, for example, the herders, farmers crisis, and all that. What solution would you be proffering to Nigeria to see that this issue is not just seen to be solved, but solved?
I mean, it's not rocket science. And let me say something. In peace studies, as part of the postgraduates I have, in diplomacy from the United Nations Institute of Training and Research. And one of the very popular examples we are giving, and your interest in that egg is the albumin, the white part. And my interest is the yolk, right? And then we come and you want the egg, and your intent is that once you get the egg, you take the albumin, right, and throw away the egg yolk. Same also with me, but it's unknown to us, and we are fighting over it.
All
Now,
right.
there are two possibilities. A good Samaritan may look at that situation and don't want to escalate further into fightings. The first one might assume that he already know what the challenge is. Let's share this egg into two equal parts for these two people. And when we is reasonably expected, and me we throw away the albumin, are we going to achieve a win-win or 100% satisfaction? The answer is no. It's at best going to be like 50-50. Hmm? But if there is a second negotiator who comes up as a diplomat, understand what our variant strategic interests are, the person might discover that we've actually had conflict because we never took time to even understand what we want.
All right.
Now, the person understands that what you need is the egg yolk, the white part, which is the albumin, and what I need is the egg yolk. It's going to bring it out, give you all of the egg, the albumin, and give me the egg yolk. And everyone is 100% satisfied. Now bring it down to the header, farmer clash, right? Both of you are all farmers, right? So you have the pastoralist, but as the person that makes the pasture. Like, I mean, you create you farm, right? And it's all to feed humans, right? This one is rearing animals, it's all to feed humans. But all of you, your strategic interest is to make profit from your labors. How come one wants to make profit at the detriment of another? Maybe if I have a rice farm, I mean, grasses are meant for the cows. You choose to leave the grasses that the cows will eat, right? and bring them to a rice farm, we see that it's not just in the middle belt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the largest single rice farmer in Enugu is a very good friend of mine. I know the loss he has suffered severally, like straying, and not even straying cow, open grazing, like particularly carry those cows into those places to eat on somebody's farm, right? That means you're already allowing your strategic interest to advance at the interest of another strategic interest. Such a person doesn't want peace. Doesn't want peace,
Such a
clearly.
person doesn't want peace.
Doesn't want peace. Now look at what we mean peace is. For those pastoralists to understand that if you still must do open grazing, then strictly let it be with grasses. Secondly, we are living in the 21st century, for crying out loud. There's the option of ranching, right? Which will mean even more healthy cows, right? That can produce milk and more meat. So why will somebody abandon that one? And his problem is, if those of you in Benue as farmers, say you don't want this, we can't leave this place for you. And then interestingly, there's a theory we call, the framing theory, right? Where you want to like a kind of paint a picture you want people to believe in, by stressing some parts of the news. In the news now, what's, some political actors want us to believe is happening in Benue is a farmer herders clash. Is it really a clash? When somebody is on his farm, another person will carry the cows, come on pressing him. That cannot be said to be a clash. It's typically like what I call someone using his reggae to spoil my blues. Imagine early in the morning, in the wee of the morning, I'm playing my Celine Dion, still the one I love, and another guy who was not in tune to play any music from the other room begins to play Yaga 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 Yo, right? Using his reggae to spoil my blues.
Okay.
And that's not decent at all, right? So everyone will understand. And the moment we understand this, the concept of peace. And the concept of peace means that there can always be better ways of achieving our strategic interests. Like I did point out, human beings, we are all interest beings. When you wake up in the morning, what is driving you? Your interest. You want to talk about your food today. Even if you go to an occasion, wedding, say some people have not eaten. Once it gets to you, everybody ate in that wedding. But if you go and your food, you're not giving food, you can go out and say, don't they know the number of guests? You can even claim that more than half did not eat because you did not eat.
Exactly.
Now, to you, who is the celebrity? Any song you've had 2-3 times on the street is the reigning song. If you've not had it, if somebody tell you, do you know this song? You just say, I've not had it. To you, the song doesn't exist. That's how human beings interpret life and interpret things. Once your interest is met, everything is fine. If your interest is not met, then you could have 3 options. It's either you are passive, which on itself is not peace. As I tell people, peace is an active process. To be peaceful means you can engage in healthy ways to protect your interest. Which means, if I come to work in your house as a plumber, I should be able to tell you ahead of time what should be my take home for working. I fear workers that when you ask them, how much do I pay you? They say anything. And at the end of the day, when you now give them anything which you think is okay, they begin to quarrel, right? So there are certain things that help to foster peace. Which means there has to be things has to be clearly spelled up. Then things is going to turn out apart the more. Because there isn't even a reference point. And once there is a pact signed or agreement, both parties should respect. If one party doesn't respect, then that party that doesn't respect that pact is obviously the party that don't want peace.
Okay.
But interestingly, even at the level of home, you can see the erring partner, the one to first cry. You want to give impression that he is the victim. Whilst in the real sense, it is the so-called victim that is the oppressor. So when it actually comes to like interpreting issues of peace, I often tell people, peace doesn't mean, okay, you see two brothers that are quarreling, eh? Or husband and wife, you say, okay, because you are the wife, accept everything. Now consciously submit. That's not peace, that is oppression, right?
Okay.
Confront the oppressive partner and say, stop oppression, right? I could remember one day on one of the radio stations, I was speaking out boldly on the caste system in Nkanu, where I come from, And when I was speaking and I said, why will you, as a human being, look at a fellow human being? Say, no, yeah, boru. I spoke so much and I said, this is 21st century for crying out loud, right? Don't try that. That is disgusting. It's been officially ended, and after that, somebody called in into the radio program and told them that anytime they want to speak on such sensitive issue, they should please balance the opinion by getting someone who is not a slave. And I told them something. I told the person, I said, for crying out loud, I'm from a lineage that can be, of the first warranted chief in Nkano land. When you talk about freeborn of the freeborn, Amado of Amado, you can't be more Amado than myself, okay? I said, but we must call a spade and not a farming implement. What gave you the right to look at a fellow human being? Meanwhile, you are looking at the outside Yoruba, in your own Nkano land. In the same village, you say your daughter cannot marry someone from another. I mean, we've spoken about things like this and wish our people. My dear, sometimes even Christianity doesn't get at that. Right?
Yes.
They say even some people will cite Abraham. Abraham as a case study, but it's disgusting. So you can't be talking about having sustainable peace without calling a spade and not a farming implement.
All right. CEO. Now that brings me to, I am meant to know that you have a program coming up on Sunday.
That's right.
Please, can you speak to that?
Okay, so the World Peace Day, of course, will be happening across the globe. And we are privileged we'll be having one here in Enugu, right? And what we just want to do, because what actually happens is when we talk about the world, the first thing that comes to everyone's mind is the globe. Forgetting you are part of the globe. Where you are, it's actually part of the world. If you detach Nigeria from that beautiful globe, it's going to be a dent. It's not going to be a complete globe again. So Nigeria matter. In fact, you are part of the globe. You are living in the globe. And where you are, in a wider context, you can look at the world as your sphere of contact. Your world is your sphere of contact, right? So what the UN recommends is you adapt whatever theme of the UN to your own, individual uniqueness. So we are not coming that day to talk about securing peace in, what is it called, Ukraine and... when we talk about world wars, people just think of that.
Yes.
Rather, we want to bring it back home. And back home, do we still have men or even women this time, my brother? There are some women that beat up gender-based violence, right?
Yeah.
Are they here? Are there solutions? Are there ways people can achieve being respected as a man or being celebrated as a partner without necessarily going violent? Are there ways in our communities, even in our state, where developments, right, an impact of development can be done so well, right, in such a way that every part of the state feels carried along? Are there ways in our own Nigeria that we can manage our, differences, right, and uniqueness in such an amazing way that every region feel carried along? Fostering more social cohesion, fostering the need to esteem, competence, right, and meritocracy above mediocrity, and with that collectively, because when you have the right heads, right, occupying different positions, they will deliver excellence, right? The problem oftentimes is just having wrong people playing the right roles, right? Government is not difficult, right? Transforming a nation is not difficult. Once you have the best of us doing the jobs designed for the nation's best, you're going to have the right results. It's not a difficult thing.
All right. It's as if I'm turning the searchlights on you now. What have you been doing beyond what will come up on Sunday? Can you give us a sneak peek into what you've been doing as regards peace so far?
So I've been part of peace processes, right? Both from unit level, like maybe you have, I mean, recently, I was part of a panel on gender-based violence, and I made a statement. I said I want all the men to come to the point of realizing that there isn't any justification, right, to beat up a woman. And then somebody was like, if they are saying all these things, let them tell women to be mindful of how they talk. That is how they talk that, justifies the beating. And I said, well, how about if I tell you that there are better ways of actually handling this issue, right? Over time again, I see people who stay in marriages and they feel it's not working out, right? And we begin to tell people how they can foster, progress and more cohesion at the marriage level. I give you an instance. Do you know that there are people, right? Now, there are three major sources of tensions in homes. It could be finance, right? Communication, and then sex. Now, when it comes to the issue of finance, there are still people that manages their finance in such a way to create problem. No budget anywhere, no strategic plan. Your wife wakes up in the morning and say, you know what, we are cooking egusi soup today. It's 5,000. You're like, which 5,000? I don't have up to that. She said, are you not in Nigeria? Every day presents a fresh opportunity for crisis. It is simple. Sit down in a month. Madam, this is my salary. This is the one you can bring in. Divide it, right? Strategically. Don't live like today and say, tomorrow we'll think for yourself. Right. Tomorrow again, you are facing tensions, unnecessary tensions, I call that.
All right.
Right?
All right. If you've been with us, we've been x-raying and giving a post-mortem on the issue of peace. And then we've been speaking with Chukwuma Ephraim Okenwa, CEO, the Executive Director of Lead Network Africa. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, likewise.
But I must tell you that this time is not enough to exhaust this topic. And you've raised more topic as we go journey along. The issue of gender violence and all that. And I would want to, for the sake of our viewers, invite you again some other time to come and speak on these issues. Yours is a very loud voice that should be listened to when it comes to peace, when it comes to gender inequality, gender violence, and a whole lot of issues. And we would beg you to avail us the opportunity to have your presence again on Insight.
You're most welcome.
All right. And to you, our viewer, you know that on the Insight, your voice matters. Please, let us know what you think about the issue we've discussed or other issues that you think he should speak on. Don't fail to reach us on our social media handles, all at Aneke TV with the hashtag The Insight on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and X. And until we come your way, same time on Monday, I still remain your host, Uche Osai.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. First, the headlines. 2025 Batch B Stream 2 NYSC orientation course begins tomorrow. Enugu State begins transition to smart green schools. State intensify action as 232 die and 121,000 displaced by flood. Naira depreciates against dollar as FX reserves hit CC high of $42 billion. I'm Deborah Wakoba with the details of the news. The National Youth Service Corps NYSC has announced that the 2025 Batch B Stream 2 orientation course will commence nationwide tomorrow across all orientation camps. According to a statement issued via its official Facebook page, the scheme said registration will run until midnight on Friday, while the swearing-in ceremony is scheduled for the same day. The statement said the Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, urged all prospective corps members to report to the camps indicated in their call-up letters, stressing the need for compliance with all registration requirements. Foreign-trained graduates are expected to present their international passports and original copies of uploaded documents. Also, Enugu State yesterday officially began the transition from existing primary and junior secondary schools to smart green schools, Governor Peter Mbah's signature initiative in the southeast state. In a broadcast to usher in the new era, Governor Mbah said the shift from old school structures and learning by memorization to world-class infrastructure and experiential learning had become imperative to equip Enugu children with knowledge and skills to compete in the global economy. Governor Mbah said his administration's slogan, "Tomorrow is here," was not just a catchphrase for Enugu, but a covenant with that future, adding that Africa's sovereignty rests on the quality of its human capital. In the meantime, the Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, has attributed the rising involvement of Nigerian youth in financial crimes to parenting failures and neglect within the family unit. Speaking in Kaduna, the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Mr. Olukoyede, represented by the Acting Director of Kaduna Zonal Directorate, Assistant Commander of the EFCC, Bawa Usman Katungo, warned that family neglect has dire consequences, exposing young people to economic and financial crimes. He noted that neglect often stems from poverty, ignorance, abdication of responsibility, and substance abuse, which manifests in the failure of families to provide emotional, psychological, and material support to children. Mr. Olukoyede expressed concern that some tertiary institution students arrested for internet fraud often cite financial hardship and lack of family support as justification for their involvement in cybercrime. He commended the federal government's intervention through the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, seeded with 50 billion naira recovered proceeds of crime by the EFCC, describing it as a timely measure to reduce students' financial pressures and deter them from illicit activities. Also, the Chief Executive Officer of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa, has called on families to take proactive steps towards preventing drug abuse among children, including acquiring drug test kits for home use. General Marwa insisted that it was better to detect drug use early when intervention is possible than to wait until it develops into full-blown addiction. General Marwa, who spoke in Abuja, warned youths to stay clear of drugs as it destroys ambition, extinguishes hope, and robs young people of a bright future. This news broadcast is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can follow us on all social media feeds on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok, and here on YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, a quick reminder of major developments in the news. 2025 Batch B Stream 2 NYSC orientation course begins tomorrow. Enugu State begins transition to smart green schools. And coming up shortly, states intensify action as 232 die and 121,000 displaced by flood. Naira depreciates against dollar as FX reserves hit CC high of $42 billion. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back. Several states, including Kaduna, Nasarawa, Bauchi, and Jigawa, have intensified campaigns to avert flood crisis. According to figures obtained from the National Emergency Management Agency, no fewer than 232 persons have lost their lives, while 121,224 others have been displaced following floods that swept through parts of the country as of September 20th. The 2025 flood dashboard shows that at least 339,658 people also recorded some form of losses, with 681 sustaining various degrees of injuries. Deaths were recorded in 7 states, with Niger State accounting for 163 fatalities, Adamawa 59, Taraba 5, Yobe 2, Borno, Gombe, and Jigawa 1 each, bringing the nationwide death toll to 232. The floods also resulted in 150 cases of missing persons across the country. Away from that, the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Boti-Uduaghan, has launched a strong legal offensive against the federal government, describing the criminal defamation charges filed against her as a brazen act of political persecution and an exhibition of double standard by the federal government. In a preliminary objection seeking the dismissal of the 6 counts filed against her by the Attorney General of the Federation, the Kogi senator contended that while the federal government was quick to file charges against her based on the complaints of the President of the Senate, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, the same government ignored her own earlier petitions against Akpabio. The charges filed under the cyber crimes were brought following petitions by Mr. Akpabio and ex-Kogi State Governor, Mr. Yahaya Bello, over remarks she allegedly made during a public address and a television interview. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has released the final list of candidates who will contest in the 2026 Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections scheduled for next year. According to the Commission, the final list includes candidates from 17 political parties who successfully uploaded their nomination forms and met the August 11, 2025 deadline. The list contains details such as the candidates' names, parties, age, gender, and academic qualifications. In a statement signed by the National Commission and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, INEC confirmed that the full list has been made publicly accessible. Still talking election, the traditional ruler of Oka Kingdom in Anambra State, Igwe Gibson Nwosu, has charged the people of the state to embrace peace, especially before, during, and after the November 8th governorship election in the state. He made the call in Oka when he received the zonal head, Southeast Peace Building Office, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Amaka Uzodinma. The monarch also reiterated the need for people to embrace peaceful coexistence so as to enjoy democratic dividends. Igwe Nwosu, who is a retired Nigerian Air Force pilot, said with peaceful coexistence, citizens would enjoy uninterrupted progress, infrastructural growth, and insecurity will be properly checked. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has postponed its planned resumption of plenary sessions by 2 weeks, moving the date from today to Tuesday, October 7, 2025. In an internal memorandum to lawmakers, Clerk of the House, Mr. Yahaya Danzaria, conveying the adjustment, no official reason was given for the postponement. Also, the Senate has postponed its planned resumption of plenary sessions by 2 weeks, moving the date from today to Tuesday, October 7, 2025. The upper chamber had adjourned on July 24, 2025 for its annual holiday and was expected to resume today. In a statement to lawmakers, the Chief of Staff to the President of the Senate, Mr. Chinedu Akubweze, announced the adjustment, no official reason was also given for the postponement. Mr. Akubweze, while expressing regret over the shifts, urged senators to take note of the new dates and adjust their schedules accordingly. Now over to governance. Governor Similai Fubara of Rivers State says he is at peace with his political benefactor. He also noted that proper peace has returned to the state after a months-long feud that triggered an emergency rule in March. Speaking with newsmen after meeting President Bola Tinubu at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja, The governor stressed that he had resumed his duties in an atmosphere of peace and cooperation. Mr. Fubara also revealed that his visit to President Tinubu was a courtesy call and an opportunity to seek direction following the expiration of the 6-month emergency rule that saw his suspension and those of key political leaders of the state. Now moving over to business news. The Director General of World Trade Organization, WTO, Ms. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says Nigeria has what it takes to lead Africa's new era of trade if it tackles high logistic costs, develops efficient payment systems, and invests in value addition. Ms. Okonjo-Iweala, who was speaking on the sidelines of the WTO Public Forum in Geneva, Switzerland, said Nigeria and other African economies must speed up the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, and build stronger infrastructure to unlock billions of dollars in opportunities in manufacturing, services, and digital trade. Also in business, the Naira recorded marginal depreciation against the dollar at the official foreign exchange to begin weekly on a bearish note, despite the country's external reserves rising to a 6-year high of $42.3 billion as of September 19, 2025. The Central Bank of Nigeria's data showed that the Naira weakened slightly to 1,488.60 Naira on Monday, down from 1,487.90 Naira exchanged last week on Friday. This means that the Naira dropped by 7 Naira against the dollar on Monday when compared with 1,487.90 Naira at the close of the week last week. Meanwhile, at the black market, the Naira remains stable at 1,522 Friday when the country's currency outspaced other foreign currencies significantly. This comes with a consistent rise in the country's external reserves, reaching 2 years high of $42.3, according to the Apex Bank data as of September 19, 2025. Now over to sports. Santos forward Neymar has hit out at the organizers of the Ballon d'Or over Barcelona winger Rafinha's 5th place finish in the 2025 edition. The 33-year-old made his feelings clear about the 2025 Ballon d'Or rankings tonight. Rafinha, however, finished in 5th position behind the likes of Dembele, Yamal, Vinta and Mohamed Salah. However, Neymar was unimpressed with Rafinha's final position in the 2025 Ballon d'Or rankings. The former Paris Saint-Germain star took to social media on Monday night to express his frustration, saying his fellow Brazilian compatriot's position is a huge joke. Now to entertainment. Nigerian singer Stanley Omar Didia, popularly known as Omale, has left fans in panic after revealing that his depression has returned. In a Snapchat rant, the So-So crooner hinted that his latest depression was caused by his recording contract and music business dealings. Omale blamed his manager as well as his younger self for accepting some contracts. To end the news across the country, here are the main points. The National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) has announced that the 2025 Batch B Stream 2 orientation course will commence nationwide tomorrow across all orientation camps. Enugu State yesterday officially began the transition from existing primary and junior secondary schools to smart green schools, Governor Peter Mbah's signature initiative in the Southeast state. We also told you that the Naira recorded marginal depreciation against the dollar at the official foreign exchange to begin weekly on a bearish note, despite the country's external reserves rising to a 6-year high of $42.3 billion as of September 19, 2025. That ends the news. For breaking news, eyewitness reports, please call 07030437110 or visit our social media feeds across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakoba. Thank you for joining us. Hello, I'm Debra Wakoba.
I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chinwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obobina Samson.
Abụ Ngozi Otahumele. Ọkwa na Aneke TV ka anyị nọ. Abụ m onye nhazi nzukọ ụmụ nwanyị. Ọ bụrụ na ihe a na-eme n'ezinụlọ na-adịghị mma, sonyela anyị. Maka na nkata anyị na-akpa na nzukọ ụmụ nwanyị bụ maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ, ọdịmma ọha obodo na ọdịmma mmadụ niile. Aneke TV, anyị achakegokwe ka ọnwa. Ịma na ndebe anyị shi na ihe eji n'aka a na-eji ha ugegbe enyo. Ọ bụkwa na ihe anyị na-eme na-amasị gị, sonyela anyị na Aneke TV. Sonyela anyị na ebe ihe ndị mmadụ na-ekiri na social media.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world. Enugu State is known for its rich culinary heritage, with various local government areas contributing their unique dishes and specialties. Some popular dishes across Enugu State include Okpa, a traditional Igbo dish made from Bambara groundnuts; Abacha, a popular Nigerian dish made from dried shredded cassava; Nkwobi, a spicy cow leg dish; Abobo or Fiofio, a porridge made from pigeon peas; Ofe Akwu, a traditional Nigerian soup made with palm fruits oil extract; Akpu, a traditional Nigerian food made from cassava tubers; Ogba, a traditional Nigerian food ingredient made from fermented oil bean seeds; Okwa, African breadfruit often used in traditional dishes; Oha soup, a traditional Nigerian soup made with oha leaves and cocoyam paste. And going over to the local government areas, we begin in an Inri local government area, which is known for the following cassava-based dishes: gari, fufu, and processed flakes; market-made snacks like the okpa, which is the Bambara nut cake; akara-style bean fritters, and palm oil-based salads. Ogo local government is known for its hearty soups and stews, pepper soup variants and goats and Newton preparations, staples, yam and cassava. Enugu's local government area is known for their special delicacy nkwobi, isiewu, spicy cow leg, and street foods like pepper soup and grilled fish, and packaged traditional foods like dried abacha flakes and pre-packed okpa. And Enugu North is known for markets and ceremonial foods like abacha, smoked fish, ogba, which is fermented oil bean, and roasted proteins. Enugu South is known for hospitality foods, which are abacha, okpa, nkwobi, okwa, and other southern Igbo staples. Ezeago is known for markets and ceremonial foods like abacha, smoked fish, ogba, which is fermented oil bean, and roasted proteins. Enugu South is known for hospitality foods, which are abacha, okpa, nkwobi, okwa, and other southern Igbo staples. Ezeago also has the abacha and cassava-derived dishes, distinctive abacha preparations using dried and shredded cassava. Igbo Etiti local government is known for mixed staples like yam, cassava, and legumes with pigeon pea. They also have bean dishes like abobo, fiofio, and bean-based preparations. Igbo Eze North has rural produce like bambara nuts and cassava, as well as street breakfast items like okpa and akara. While Igbo Eze South has festive soups and cassava accompaniments like hearty soups and cassava derives like gari and fufu. In Isuzo local government area, the local government is known for highland crops like yam, tuber crops, and dried tuber dishes like variants which is similar to achicha and abubo. Nkanu East also has the abacha styles and variants with different preparations using fresh native beans, fried ingredients, and local sauces of smoked fish. Nkanu West has yam and vegetable combos like festival dishes, combining tuber staples with special meat and seafood dressings. And Nseka is known for their okpa, achicha, and abacha. They are widely reported as common local specialties, and they have the delicacy made with corn known as ayarayoka. Oji River is known for cassava-derived snacks, abacha ingredients, okwa, smoked fish, and okpaka. It's known for trade hubs and market supply. Udenu is known for garden vegetables and accompaniments and dry tuber preparations like leafy green soups and dry tuber snacks. Udi local government is also known for cassava products and abacha, popular abacha preparations and cassava-based products with various soups. Uzuwani local government area is known for riverine and food networks, which are the okwa, tubers such as yam and cassava, and vegetable soups with their various ways of preparation, and also their festival cooking, which is a locally caught fish and smoked proteins.
Enugu State government recently launched a comprehensive youth policy designed to place young people at the center of the state's development process and creating an enabling environment for their growth and empowerment. This is the first time the state will have a dedicated policy for youth development. The 58-page policy document is aimed at harnessing the potential of young people as critical drivers of sustainable development. Unveiling the policy at the International Conference Center, ICC Enugu, Governor Peter Mba, who was represented by the Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Mr. Lloyd Ekweremadu, described the young people in the state as the heartbeat of Enugu State.
The youth are the heartbeat of Enugu State. They constitute the energy, creativity, and vision that drive our development. Yet, for too long, their potential has been underutilized. This youth policy is our bold response to that challenge. It is a roadmap that captures the aspirations of our young people and aligns them with the development agenda of our dear state.
Governor Mba said that Enugu Youth Policy is the outcome of rigorous consultations, robust engagements, and collaborative efforts. In his goodwill message, the Executive Director, South Saharan Social Development Organization, Dr. Stanley Lechuku, said the organization believes that young people are not just leaders of tomorrow, they are the strength of today. And that was why they gave their support when the process of developing the policy began.
We believe that the young people are not just leaders of tomorrow, they're the strengths of today. And that is why when we began this process with Action Aid, we were glad to stand behind it.
For his part, the country director of Action Aid Nigeria, Andrew Mamedi, said Action Aid Nigeria has remained steadfast in their mission to working with people living in poverty and exclusion with a strong focus on advancing the rights and aspirations of young people, women, and the marginalized. Represented by the head of program, Action Aid Nigeria, Celestine Odo, the country director, said Enugu Youth Policy, fully supported by Action Aid Nigeria, is a testament to what can be achieved through collaboration between government, civil society, and young people themselves.
The Enugu State Youth Policy, fully supported by Action Aid Nigeria, is a testament to what can be achieved through collaboration between government, civil society, and young people themselves. It provides a framework that prioritizes young youth development, empowerment, participation in governance, education, employment, climate actions, entrepreneurship, social justice.
Mr. Wilfred Emeko KK, who is a consultant, Enugu State Youth Policy, emphasized that and their valuable assets while stating its visions and objectives to develop strategies to better the lives of the youths.
Enugu State recognizes the importance and perhaps indispensable role of its youth in promoting and addressing socio-economic challenges.
The event was witnessed by youths from different parts of the state, cutting across various sectors, ministries, departments, agencies, education, health, and agriculture. Chidimi Kemede, Aneke TV.
I am Chidimi Kemede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chinwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obina Samson.
Abụ m Ngozi Otahumele. Ọkwa na Aneke TV ka anyị nọ. Abụ m onye nhazi nzukọ ụmụ nwanyị. Ọ bụrụ na ihe a na-eme n'ezinụlọ na-adịghị mma, sonyela anyị. Maka na nkata anyị na-akpa na nzukọ ụmụ nwanyị bụ maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ, ọdịmma ọha obodo na ọdịmma mmadụ niile. Aneke TV, anyị achakegokwe ka ọnwa. Ịma na ndị be anyị shi na ihe eji n'aka a na-eji ha ugegbe enyo. Ọ bụkwa na ihe anyị na-eme na-amasị gị, sonyela anyị na Aneke TV. Sonyela anyị na ebe ihe ndị mmadụ na-ekiri na social media.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world. Enugu State is known for its rich culinary heritage, with various local government areas contributing their unique dishes and specialties. Some popular dishes across Enugu State include Okpa, a traditional Igbo dish made from Bambara groundnuts; Abacha, a popular Nigerian dish made from dried shredded cassava; Nkwobi, a spicy cow leg dish; Abobo or Fiofio, a porridge made from pigeon peas; Ofe Akwu, a traditional Nigerian soup made with palm fruits oil extract; Akpu, a traditional Nigerian food made from cassava tubers; Ogba, a traditional Nigerian food ingredient made from fermented oil bean seeds; Okwa, African breadfruit often used in traditional dishes; Oha soup, a traditional Nigerian soup made with oha leaves and cocoyam paste. And going over to the local government areas. We begin in Aniri local government area, which is known for the following cassava-based dishes: gari, fufu, and processed flakes. Market-made snacks like the okpa, which is the bambara nut cake, akara, staples, yam and cassava. Enugu's local government area is known for their special delicacy nkwobi, isiewu, spicy cow leg, and street foods like pepper soup and grilled fish, and packaged traditional foods like dried abacha flakes and pre-packed okpa. And Enugu North is known for markets and ceremonial foods like abacha, smoked fish, ogba, which is fermented oil bean, and roasted proteins. Enugu South is known for hospitality foods, which are abacha, okpa, nkwobi, okwa, and other southern Igbo staples. Ezeago is known for markets and ceremonial foods like abacha, smoked fish, ogba, which is fermented oil bean, and roasted proteins. Enugu South is known for hospitality foods, which are abacha, okpa, nkwobi, okwa, and other southern Igbo staples. Ezeago also has the abacha and cassava-derived dishes, distinctive abacha preparations using dried and shredded cassava. Igbo Etiti local government is known for mixed staples like yam, cassava, and legumes with pigeon pea. They also have bean dishes like abobo, fiofio, and bean-based preparations. Igbo Eze North has rural produce like bambara nuts and cassava, as well as street breakfast items like okpa and akara. While Igbo Eze South has festive soups and cassava accompaniments like hearty soups and cassava derives like gari and fufu. In Isuzo local government area, the local government is known for highland crops like yam, tuber crops, joining us on the program, The Arena, on Aneke Television today. Thanks for being part of today's edition of the program, where we meet to take on burning topical issues and matters in society. Issues and matters that faces us as a people. Yes, of course, through the analysis of our resource persons, our guests. All right, we seek to provide solutions on the way forward so that we could engender a better society for every one of us. My name is Chris Anibuogo, thanking you for having joined us. On our table today, what are we looking at? The issues around power generation, distribution, talking about electricity, you understand what we mean? Here in the Southeast, issues and matters. That is what we're looking at on the show today, because power, for me, for us here, we have every other sector revolving around the power sector. Because if we don't have adequate, proper, effective power distribution, I wonder what's going to happen to businesses and to life generally. So that's why today we have joining us on the show the Group Head, Corporate Communications of the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EDC, in the person of Aneke Eze. It's good to have you join us on the arena today.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. Thank you very much.
All right, so dear viewer, stay with us as we proceed. Aneke Eze, the task, the journey of electricity distribution for our people in the Southeast. How has it been since the EDC took over this task and mandate?
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. I must say that the task has been quite interesting. Interesting, and it's been also challenging, you know. Interesting in the sense that every day we keep meeting new challenges. Every day we keep meeting new obstacles that we contend with. And most times, these obstacles and challenges form part of our learning curve in improving our processes and perfecting the way and manner we carry out our operations. Electricity, like you rightly pointed out, is a very, very critical aspect of human existence. And that is also part of the commitment we have as a utility to use our services to improve the socio-economic landscape of the Southeast. And a lot has happened, even with the advent of the Electricity Act of 2023, which now enables states to, generate, transmit, and distribute. Thereby empowering them to enact their own laws and set up their own electricity market. Our dear state, Enugu State, happens to be the very first to, take that bold step. And a lot of improvement has been recorded as a result of that singular development. So it's a journey, like I always say, especially considering the peculiarity of our own environment. We've lived in an environment where our customers see electricity as part of their entitlement, okay? Part of what government is supposed to be providing for them. But of course, you and I know that the sector was privatized. That was in 2013. After the unbundling of NEPA, which gave rise to the various members of the electricity value chain, talking about the generation, transmission, and distribution, standing on their own.
Okay.
With the generation being privatized and distribution privatized, we still have the transmission still being run by the federal government. So that was a major change that happened in the sector at that time, followed by what happened in 2023, which further, broke the operations down such that states can now, come into play. Electricity was in the exclusive list. With this very arrangement, is now in the concurrent list. So states can now generate their power, distribute and transmit, and also open up their market to attract investment. That is one major plus of that Electricity Act, that amendment. Investment is something that we need in the sector. And because of where we found ourselves, that has not been able to come in by investment. I mean, foreign direct investments. A situation where you have key industry players seeing Nigeria as a fertile ground that need to be invested in. But that is not the case. I was telling you about our orientation where we see electricity as social service. With the privatization, it's not a social service. It's now being run as a business.
Okay.
Business enterprise. People have invested, and people are expected to run it as a commercial enterprise, and the returns are supposed to be, gotten. But that has not been the case, because we still have situations where people believe that they are not expected to pay, especially the elites. People that you see that have the means to pay for this service, they are not paying. People engage in energy theft, people vandalize installations, people connect illegally, set up their structures, connect illegally. And these people are feeding from the grid, using your product without paying for it. So you cannot even account for it. So a situation where you invest in a sector and you're not able to get your returns, it becomes a problem. And investors are looking at some of these things before they come in. So if I'm not sure, or if I'm not guaranteed of getting return from my investment, I will not be moved to come and invest. These are some of the areas that has really, frustrated our operations, and it has not allowed us get to where we ought to be by now. And unfortunately, coming back home, the books of the discos is not such that can attract funding from the banks. So no bank can even advance facility to us. So that makes it more, challenging, for you to be able to source funds to carry out most of the initiatives that we've identified within our space that we need to embark on. We are not having the needed funds to do that.
Okay. Maybe when we take a critical look at the challenges inherent in the system, this sector, we may be able to point out these issues one after the other critically. But now, let's make it clearer for the viewer out there to understand. So at the moment, we understand that that energy, that power sector has transmitted from one point to the other. Some time ago, it was known as NEPA. Even though we know that NEPA seemed to have taken over the name over time. Even the young child who will always get used to up NEPA. You understand? So from NEPA, I moved to PHCN. At the moment, it has been unbundled.
Yeah.
So it is no longer the federal government taking responsibility for the generation, transmission, and distribution. So the government handles
the transmission.
The transmission. What about the generation? Who's
the generation is privatized. It's privatized. You have GenCos that are generating the power that the transmission company wheels down to the distribution companies to further extend to our customers. So that is the way the value chain is structured. You have the generation company, the upstream. These are the guys that generate the power that we distribute. So after it's generated, the transmission company wheels it down to the distribution network.
Where you come in now?
Where we come in.
So and you're responsible for the Southeast?
Yeah, we are responsible for the Southeast. And we're also representing the GenCos and the transmissions. So the bill you pay as electricity bill is associated cost of providing that service. So the guys that generated that electricity will share from that your bill. The guys that transmitted it will also share from that bill, while we also share from it. So it's not just, you're not just paying to EEDC.
Because the impression out there is that it is all about EDC.
No, it's not like that. We're just like an agent. We're just a representative of the value chain. We are the ones you see. We are the ones at the downstream. The upstream guys, their business is just to generate this power and they push it down to us. And we distribute to you and bill you and expect that you pay so that we can remit back to the upstream. That is the way it's structured.
So that's the process.
That is it.
Okay, since we have the generation, the transmission, and then before we come to your position, which is the distribution, tell us the obvious reality. What is the capacity of power generation in Nigeria?
Okay, as of today, we have around 5,000 megawatts.
For the entire country?
For the entire country. And this will be distributed across each of the distribution companies. For us, we got around over 300 megawatts.
300.
And that is what
can that be transmitted to maybe percentage?
That should be around 8-9% of what is generated.
Nationwide.
You know, every disco will get their own allocation, and it's based on percentage. Okay, we were getting around 9%, but lately it has reduced a little bit. You know, part of our space has been ceded to our space within Aba and Ari area is now ceded to Aba Power.
Okay.
So that's geometric. They are the ones handling Aba and Ari area. So the allocation we get is distributed across the areas where we cover. In Abia State, we only cater for Umuahia. So Aba and Ariara is handled by a different distribution company, while Ebonyi, Imo, Anambra, and Enugu also feed from this allocation. So unfortunately, that number will not be enough to meet our energy needs.
Because that's the question. If what you get from the whole lot is just 8-9%, I was about asking for a southeastern people of Nigeria who are very industrious.
You also need to take into
cognizance
that
isn't that so insufficient?
It is, but that is largely because the quantum generated for the whole country is inadequate. Assuming we generate up to 30,000 megawatts as a country today, and we get 8% or 7% of this, it will address our needs. So it's not a function of, and remember, we have 11 distribution companies feeding from, so if you have 11 individuals feeding from, and you're getting 8% or 9%, I don't think is a bad deal. And also, in designing, in drawing this allocation, areas, considerations are made. You know, there are areas that are, the energy appetite for energy is bigger than some areas. Take for instance Lagos. They have a lot of industrial clusters there. Their allocation is higher than, you know, what we are getting for obvious reasons. So now, every day, our energy needs, they are all increasing. In Enugu, in Anambra, in Ebonyi, the energy needs are growing by the day. Industries are coming in, buildings, people are building, and they will need power. That is where the arrangement that has happened with the Electricity Act will go a long way in helping. So the states, they now own their space. They are now to attract investors that will come and invest within the states. Quite agreed, the energy we are getting from the grid might not be sufficient. But what happens when the state regulatory commission licenses an independent power generation company within the state that will generate and add to what we are getting from the grid to complement, you know, what we have? It will further increase the quantum of energy that our people in Enugu will be getting. So these are some of the things that we need to take advantage of. Well, like I said, that confidence needs to be there. Every investor needs to be sure that he or she is going to get return on investments made. And
kudos is a welcome development. The new Electricity Act that came in, that was under the last dispensation.
Yes,
under
but it was signed,
signed
off by the current president.
It's a welcome one. But before we got to that stage, Aneke, I don't know, there's this impression of the federal government not necessarily taking keen interest in what happens in the Southeast. For instance, I just want to see if you will agree with the fact that the 8 to 9% allocation to the Southeast from the national grid, are you not seeing elements of politics?
No, I don't see.
Because the Southeastern people, for instance, we are very industrious. We rely more on energy, power, electricity, you know, to be able to...
agree. I don't see politics. I don't see politics in it. Like I rightly pointed out, that we have 11 distribution companies.
That's right.
Okay, so assuming you share it 10% across board, that means we're left with one distribution company not getting anything. So look at it from that point. I don't think it has nothing to do with politics.
Oh,
Rather,
really?
I don't think it has to do with the quantum that is being generated. That is where that's the root cause of the problem we are having. 5,000 for a country of over 200 million people. It is grossly inadequate. So there's nothing political about it. Once those numbers are enhanced, like I said, if we get up to 20,000 megawatts, I don't think we'll be having this conversation. Yeah. It will go a long way in addressing it might not be 100%, but at least, you know, from where we are now, you know, it will be a very big improvement in terms of availability. And also, by the time we begin to get the other energy allocation from the independent generation companies that might be licensed within the space, it will also augment whatever we are getting. So I don't see it from that political.
So no politics attached.
No politics attached.
Okay, because we often begin to get the signals that everything done in this country, the Southeast is always.
And most of the Southeasterners you're talking about, they all have their businesses in Lagos. Most of those industries that you're, talking about, they are all in Lagos, and they are feeding from the allocation given to the two distribution companies that we have in Lagos. So the main challenge we have as a nation is a poor energy allocation, energy generation.
And it seems that devil around that, these issues seem not to be dying anytime soon. I mean, for a country as huge as Nigeria, to be feeding on 5,000 megawatts, I mean, that's grossly insufficient.
It is. And that is why the federal government, if you observe, they've been doing everything possible to, break that jinx, attract investment, open up the market so that investors can come, and also try and reassure them that once they come in, they need that confidence to come in. And it's not about them have that confidence that once they come in and set up. We also need to change our own mindsets, our own orientation. Electricity is a product that has to be paid for. People cry that it is not affordable. It is not affordable because the cost is not right. It's because the economic situation is not, the average Nigerian cannot afford 24/7 electricity if it were to be pushed out across board. So that is the root cause. The economy needs to be activated so that people will have the means to access this product. And once that happens, any investor that comes in will be sure that anybody that uses their product will pay for it. But a situation where you're not getting the cost.
That issue of B band, C band, D band, E. What's all that supposed to mean? I mean, like, we're all Nigerians. Aren't we just all supposed to be at the same level? Why are we categorizing Nigerians based on your class? You belong to band A, first class citizen, band B.
Anyway, that's not the
banding system.
That's not the idea behind that initiative. And I would like to point out that this has been in existence since 2020.
Since 2020.
This band structure has been in existence since 2020. The only thing that brought it to the fore was the removal of subsidy from the band A tariff. That was what made it look as if it's a new introduction. It's been there. And that was a fallout of engagements that happened then. Remember, there has been periods where effort was being made to review the tariff. People don't want the tariff reviewed at all. They want it to remain as it was. And they still expect efficiency. It doesn't work that way. A lot of things have changed. A liter of fuel today, I don't know how much it was 2020, but check out how much it is today. But nobody wants electricity tariff to move because, I don't know. So then there was engagements. That's a normal thing that happens before tariff is reviewed. Stakeholder engagement, where you invite customers, everybody air their views and all that. Some of the customers, I recall, will say that they shouldn't increase the tariff until they begin to see 24 hours. Some were saying that they don't get up to 8 hours. Some say they don't even need 8 hours, just give us 3 hours. You know, you have a mix or combination of reactions. And usually what happens after this whole exercise is that the regulator goes back, look at the input and come up with something that will address everyone. So for those that are saying they don't need up to 24 hours, you have somewhere you can fit in. For those that are saying when they see 24 hours that they are willing to pay, we've heard this severally. Give us the power, we are ready to pay. And now when you see the power and you're told how much it costs, you say, what do I need 24 hours for? I'm okay with 3 hours. These are things you get when you're dealing with a combination of people that, you know, their needs are different. So then the regulator came up with this banding structure, where band A gets a minimum of 20 hours, band B minimum of 18 hours, down the line 16, 12, and 4 hours down. So now the discos are expected to meet that threshold, and when you don't meet that threshold, you compensate the customers. And it's also a conscious way of getting the discos to invest in their infrastructure. So customers within band D can gradually be migrated. It has happened across the network, where you see some people that were in band C migrated to band A. After investment has happened in the network, the infrastructure strengthened to be able to deliver band A. It's not all our feeders that can push 24 hours supply. But there are feeders that can stand 24 hours. There are feeders, if you put 24 hours, it won't be able to push. So those feeders are identified, and conscious efforts are made to improve on the infrastructure so that they will be able to deliver 24 hours. Some people are on feeders that are band C, and they say they want to be on band A. You know, they want to be on band A, in as much as we want to give them the band A service, but their feeder cannot deliver it. So what we need to do is, maybe in the next plan of rehabilitation, we look at that feeder, improve on the feeder, so that it can withstand the pressure of band A service delivery. So once that happens, we apply it to the regulator, and once approval is given, we migrate them. So it's not something designed to shortchange anybody. It's just because of the challenge we have, peculiar challenge we have, and we're trying to accommodate everybody. But what brought it to the fore was the removal of the subsidy by federal government. The federal government has been paying subsidy over the years, and that is also part of the problem we have. At the point the disco was being privatized, part of the negotiating points was that the distribution company should be allowed to run a cost-reflective tariff. That is a tariff that is reflective of the cost, not a situation where you buy a product, process, and everything, it comes at 2 naira. Somebody will be telling you to sell it at 1 naira. As a business venture, you cannot sustain that operations. That is exactly what has happened with the power sector. And that was part of the reason why the bands were, you know, grouped in that manner. But it was the band A tariff that, you know, stirred the whole place. This structure has been in existence 2020. Band A, B, C, D, E has been in existence since 2020. It's just because the upper bands are now made to pay 209, higher tariff than the others. You now see them say they want to go down to band E. They don't want to remain in band A. You still see some people say they want to come up. Because if you look at it, no matter how you look at it, if you're in a band A feeder, before now you were running your own independent power, your generator, you're buying fuel, buying diesel as the case may be. Now, you no longer buy those, you never spend on those items. You now focus on the grid power. The supply is there. Situations you get 23 hours. In a 24-hour, you're getting 23 hours or 24 hours is a good deal. The enlightenment, the customer education now changed towards energy management. So the way you've been using energy before has to change to be able to deal with or contend with the new structure.
Maybe in the next 1 minute, you may need to just give us that enlightenment.
Okay, if
energy
you're,
usage
if
now?
you're,
How can we manage effectively?
if you're living within a band A feeder, for example, as well as other feeders, and you're metered as a metered customer, your meter records your consumption. So gone are the days you're going out, you put on the air conditioner because you're not metered to chill, for the house to chill, so that when you come back, everywhere will be cool. If you're doing that, your meter will be recording that consumption. So turn off appliances when they are not in use. Try and acquire energy-saving appliances. There are energy-saving appliances that help you manage your energy cost. People still use incandescent bulb. That bulb they sell, whether 100 naira or something, that cheap bulb, they consume so much. We recommend LED bulbs or those energy-saving bulbs.
The one they call white bulb.
Yes.
Let's use the local LED
bulb. Some of those incandescent bulbs are white too. So those ones that have filament in it, they are no. They consume your power. And part of what we also do, I for one, like the refrigerator or the freezer, once it's blocked, you don't need to leave it 24/7. You can draw up a plan on how to, manage. Maybe you wake up in the morning, you turn it off. If you come back in the evening, you put it on. It runs through the night. I mean, you help you manage your cost. So it's just for us to adjust.
Some other times too, we could really be abusive on some of this, and some other times during the day, within the neighborhood, you see bulbs left on.
Especially for those that are not metered. Those that are metered, they leave it on, it will be hitting their meter. Because you now see somebody say, I loaded 10,000 naira, it vanished. It doesn't evaporate. Energy does not evaporate. Something consumes that energy. So if you leave in the habit of leaving your security light points on through the day, I mean, you're the one paying for that. Those are wastages that we discourage. You visit some communities, especially rural communities, they tell you they don't have industry in their community. But those bulbs, that's where you see all those incandescent bulbs dominantly used. You see them on. You can see a small building, you see like 8 bulbs outside glaring during the day when they are not needed. So those are the things that increase energy costs.
All right.
And at the end of the period, when you present the bill, they tell you that they don't have what are they consuming? Whereas those bulbs have consumed the energy.
Okay, Aneke said, let's go to the issue of metering. I think gone are the days we should be talking of, what do you call it? Estimated billings. Nigerians are expected to be running on prepaid metering system. How far have we gone with metering Nigerians now?
Okay, I'll say that we are making a lot of progress, and more and more customers are being metered. There has been different metering programs that have been introduced to, address this very concern. It's also important to mention that the metering gap is also part of what we inherited. Remember that we inherited this whole business, and the gap as at when we inherited the sector was also wide, and our responsibility is also to ensure that it's closed up. A lot of initiatives have been introduced. We had CapMe sometime introduced to bridge the gap, where customers advance funds to the distribution companies and the meters provided and they are reimbursed. That ended, and we now have MAP, Meter Asset Provider, where you have third-party vendors that bring in these meters and meter our customers who have indicated interest, because they need to indicate interest because they will pay for the meter. But the interesting thing is that they are also going to be repaid back. It's just like bridging the funding gap. You recall that I mentioned that part of our challenge is the fund to embark on some of the things that we need to embark on. Metering is one of it. And unfortunately, the tariff as it is not enough to cushion those costs. the tariff is supposed to service the cost of metering the customers, but the tariff is not, sufficient to even address the cost of the product. So you need to get funding from somewhere, from outside, and there are no facilities, long-term facilities that can be accessed to address this, which is why the regulator came up with this program. And it's been working perfectly well. Customers are applying and they are being metered. There's also a metering program which will kick off any moment from now, where customers will not need to pay. So the distribution companies will pay. It's a long-term facility, World Bank supported, that will use to get those meters and deploy to our customers that are not metered. They will not have to pay. It's the distribution company that will pay, or it's a long-term facility. So these are the programs designed to close the metering gap. Okay, so I acknowledge your point that is a challenge, but effort is being made to close that gap. And metering is going to be an ongoing thing. If you meter all the customers in your network today, people are still building, they will need meter. So it's something that will be ongoing, okay? The map is currently running. Customers that are interested can apply and have their facilities metered, and they will be reimbursed.
So what's the process of application now?
Okay, you can visit our website, www.enugudisco.com. You see request for meter. You click on it, fill your form, you get your application ID sent to your phone, with which you can use to track that application. So that is the first step. Apply online and get that. Once demand notice issued to you, you go to any commercial bank, make payments, and it starts counting. 10 working days after that payment is confirmed, the meter ought to be installed. Though sometimes we might experience teething issues, maybe network issues, but these are smart meters, and you need to establish that two-way communication before the meter leaves the office to the destination. So once that does not happen, the meter cannot leave. So that is the process. It's as simple as that, and we try to make it in such a way so that you remove human interference. We've had situations where people say they gave somebody money and they didn't see meter. We don't encourage that.
That's an area of concern.
Yeah, it is.
For us, sometimes people business, exchanging money.
We don't encourage it. We don't encourage it. And that's why we've automated the process. So once you apply, and you can be following through, you can be monitoring the progress. If you apply, like I said earlier on, the application ID will be sent to your phone. You provide some details, email address, mobile phone number, and that application ID is what you use to track your application. You move on to that website again, put in your application ID. It will show you, okay, a pre-survey carried out, application closed. They are waiting for demand notes. They issue demand notes, you get prompting, you go and download it, go to the bank and pay. But most times people don't want to, they rather want to go through the back door and burn their fingers, and you see them come out, they say they paid and they've not gotten. Who did you pay to? That's when you now begin to see that they've shot themselves.
So one is not expected to make payments to anybody.
You pay to the bank once you get a demand note. And before payment is made, a demand note will be issued to you.
That's all right. Now again, who owns the meter? Because we understand there is a landlord who owns his building. The tenant occupies, but the tenant is always mobile. I could live in a house for a year and I decide to move to another point. So if your customer, who is a tenant, makes application for the prepaid meter and he pays, who owns the meter?
The distribution company owns the meter.
The distribution company owns the meter?
Yes. And the meter is tied to that building where the application is initiated from.
The tenant doesn't necessarily need to move with the meter while
you can't move with it. Even if you move with the meter, you can't plug it anywhere.
So if I pay as a customer who is a tenant to another man's house, so how am I going to get my money back?
Remember that I said that if you pay, you're going to get reimbursed. as a tenant, you've paid for this meter. The meter is installed. You're going to be recharging the meter. As you're recharging, you'll be getting refund of the cost of that meter.
Okay.
So let's assume you paid 100,000 for the meter, and each recharge, a fraction of that 100,000 will be given to you as credit, energy credit. So you're recharging 10,000 naira, for example, and that 10,000 is supposed to give you like, let's say, 50 units. So you'll be getting something like 60 units. So that difference is the cost of that meter fraction converted to energy, which you're getting.
Okay.
Over time, you would have gotten the money you spent acquiring that meter. That's the way it's structured. And if you're living, you can't move with the meter, unfortunately.
Okay, now, I don't know how much time we've got left on this show, but before we wind up, let's come to the core challenges. How lucrative is it to be in the business of distribution of power in the Southeast? How lucrative, how challenging?
Okay, ordinarily, if you're looking at it from the outside, is meant to be a lucrative business. But unfortunately, because of the environment we find ourselves, that is not the case.
As a result of
apathy to payments, people don't pay. Theft, people steal instead of allowing the device that has been put there to record their consumption, and they pay according to their consumption. People vandalize infrastructures. You mount transformers that will serve a community. Some people will go and, vandalize the cable. Sometimes they carry the transformer. So these are some of the challenges that if you begin to look at it as an investor, a potential investor, you will not have, you'll be disturbed. You'll be disturbed. Remember, we cover a very large area, and it will be difficult for us to have personnel manning those infrastructure. Okay, that is where community support comes in. We've been reaching out to communities, vigilantes, president generals, traditional rulers to gain support, getting them to see this infrastructure as they are part owners.
taking ownership.
Ownership, because it's serving you. It's serving you. And once it's attacked, you will be inconvenienced. Quite agreed, we won't be getting revenue from you, but it will hit you more, because that energy that you're not consuming will be consumed elsewhere, and we're going to get the money from that place. But you are not going to get the service. So that is a major concern. Vandalism. You see them stealing the bare conductors. They will push down the poles and, take the wires away. They go to transformers, drain the transformer oil. They go to transformers, they cut the armored cable.
Obviously, these forms of vandalism and theft cannot be taking place without people who are knowledgeable around with these things.
Okay,
being involved.
we hear this every time. But
what about if you're involved in things like this?
Okay, I agree. I totally agree. But out of all the vandals that we've apprehended, how many of them are staff? I'm asking you. Out of all the vandals that we've apprehended, how many of them are staff of the distribution company? How many of them confess that they are working hand in hand with? So these are just mere insinuations that we find out there. We are not saying we have sense working within our space, but there has to be evidence that it is your people. Sometimes there's a community at I think Edo Balaya.
In Nsukka?
Yes. They came sometime, the transformer within their community was attacked, and they came to our office to protest. And they were alleging that it is our people, that our people came, and the next moment the thing was attacked and all that. After that phase, executed while attempting to vandalize their transformer. One of their own. You understand? So these are some of the things that we hear every day. They say it's somebody that is knowledgeable. Most times they are not knowledgeable. You see some of these scrap dealers, they know that this cable is made of copper. They know the value of copper. They go and attack it, and you see them process it. They remove the insulators, put them in the bag, and they go and sell it off at a giveaway. Question.
Yes.
It's not all about is somebody that know about it. Some people don't know about it. They just know that this thing is expensive and they go for it. Some lose their lives in the process. I'm sure you've gotten news of,
yes, of
people that got electrocuted while attempting to vandalize electricity infrastructure.
All right.
So some people say it's the hunger in the land.
But that's a risky venture.
Yeah, it is. It is. I, for one, cannot even touch electric switch, not to talk of going into a transformer. But you see people move into the distribution substation when there's supply, when it's on potential to carry out. They carry the feeder pillar unit and all that. How they do it, I don't know.
Well, Aneke, my producer said we should round off, and we need to round off now.
Thank you.
But then I don't know if you have a word for the viewer in the next 30 seconds. Can you maintain 30 seconds?
Okay, yeah. I just want to appreciate the customers, the viewers who are customers. I want to tell them that we are here to provide service to them, and we cannot attain that level of efficiency without their support. So we are not taking them for granted. Quite agree, there are grounds to cover. There are things that we are not doing right yet, but that's why our doors are open. We need information on how we can improve on our processes, and inside we are working at improving our processes to ensure that our customers enjoy the experience. So we want to appreciate them and assure them of our commitment to continue serving them, better.
All right. Bringing him here to bring us updates on issues and matters around the power distribution in the Southeast. Even though we say kudos to the federal government of Nigeria for unbundling the power sector and has given room for state governments now to key in and take ownership of power generation and distribution in their various states. And good enough, the government of Enugu State under Peter Ndubuisi has keyed in, and we see what is going on now in the state. So we expect other state governments to key in, even though we know that's going to make the market very competitive. I don't know, but then we're not asking.
They say the sky,
we're not going to ask
the sky is wide enough for,
so
for the
we know that's going to make the system very competitive. It's not going to take you out of business, though. It's an open market system. So we'll leave it at that.
Right.
We'll leave it at that. So good looking at you. Take ownership of every equipment within your area. It's yours. It's not necessarily for the distribution company alone. Protect it, secure it. And to come your way again, pay your bills as well. My name is Chris Aneke.
Hello, I'm Debra Wakoba.
I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obobina Samson.
Abụ m Ngozi Otahumele. Ọkwa na Aneke TV ka anyị nọ. Abụ m onye nhazi nzukọ. Maka na nkata anyị na-akpa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị bụ maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ, ọdịmma ọha obodo na ọdịmma mmadụ niile. Aneke TV anyị achakegokwa ka ọnwa. Ịma na ndebe anyị shi na ihe eji n'aka a na-eji ha ugegbe enyo. Ọ bụkwa na ihe anyị na-eme na amasị, sonyela anyị na Aneke TV. Sonyela anyị na ebe ihe ndị mmadụ na-ekiri na social media.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world. Enugu State is known for its rich culinary heritage, with various local government areas contributing their unique dishes and specialties. Some popular dishes across Enugu State include Okpa, a traditional Igbo dish made from Bambara groundnuts. Abacha, a popular Nigerian dish made from dried shredded cassava. Nkwobi, a spicy cow leg dish. Abobo or fiofio, a porridge made from pigeon peas. Ofe akwu, a traditional Nigerian soup made with palm fruits oil extract. Akpu, a traditional Nigerian food made from cassava tubers. Ogba, a traditional Nigerian food ingredient made from fermented oil bean seeds. Okwa, African breadfruit often used in traditional dishes. Oha soup, a traditional Nigerian soup made with oha leaves and cocoyam paste. And going over to the local government areas. We begin in an Inri local government area, which is known for the following cassava-based dishes: gari, fufu, and processed flakes. Market-made snacks like the okpa, which is the Bambara nut cake, akara-style bean fritters, and palm oil-based salads. Ogo local government is known for its hearty soups and stews, pepper soup variants and goats and Milton preparations, staples, yam and cassava. Enugu's local government area is known for their special delicacy nkwobi, isiewu, spicy cow leg, and street foods like pepper soup and grilled fish, and packaged traditional foods like dried abacha flakes and pre-packed okpa. And Enugu North is known for markets and ceremonial foods like abacha, smoked fish, ogba, which is fermented oil bean, and roasted proteins. Enugu South is known for hospitality foods, which are abacha, okpa, nkwobi, okwa, and other southern Igbo staples. Ezeago is known for markets and ceremonial foods like abacha, smoked fish, ogba, which is fermented oil bean, and roasted proteins. Enugu South is known for hospitality foods, which are abacha, okpa, nkwobi, okwa, and other southern Igbo staples. Ezeago also has the abacha and cassava-derived dishes, distinctive abacha preparations using dried and shredded cassava. Igbo Etiti local government is known for mixed staples like yam, cassava, and legumes with pigeon pea. They also have bean dishes like abobo, fiofio, and bean-based preparations. Igbo Eze North has rural produce like bambara nuts and cassava, as well as street breakfast items like okpa and akara. While Igbo Eze South has festive soups and cassava accompaniments like hearty soups and cassava derives like gari and fufu. In Isuzo local government area, the local government is known for highland crops like yam, tuber crops, and dried tuber dishes like variants, which is similar to achicha and abobo. Nkanu East also has the abacha styles and variants with different preparations using fresh native beans, fried ingredients, and local sauces of smoked fish. Nkanu West has yam and vegetable combos like festival dishes, combining tuber staples with special meat and seafood dressings. And Nseka is known for their okpa, achicha, and abacha. They are widely reported as common local specialties, and they have the delicacy made with corn known as ayarayoka. Oji River is known for cassava-derived snacks, abacha ingredients, okwa, smoked fish, and okpaka. Is known for trade hubs and market supply. Udenu is known for garden vegetables and accompaniments and dried tuber preparations like leafy green soups and dried tuber snacks. Udi local government is also known for cassava products and abacha, popular abacha preparations and cassava-based products with various soups. Uzuwani local government area is known for riverine and food networks, which are the okwa, tubers such as yam and cassava, and vegetable soups with their various ways of preparation, and also their festival cooking, which is a locally caught fish and smoked proteins.
Enugu State government recently launched a comprehensive youth policy designed to place young people at the center of the state's development process and creating an enabling environment for their growth and empowerment. This is the first time the state will have a dedicated policy for youth development. The 58-page policy document is aimed at harnessing the potential of young people as critical drivers of sustainable development. Unveiling the policy at the International Conference Center, ICC, Enugu, Governor Peter Mba, who was represented by the Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Mr. Lloyd Ekweremadu, described young people in the state as the heartbeat of Enugu State.
The youth are the heartbeat of Enugu State. They constitute the energy, creativity, and vision that drive our development. Yet, for too long, their potential has been underutilized. This youth policy is our bold response to that challenge. It is a roadmap that captures the aspirations of our young people and aligns them with the development agenda of our dear state.
Governor Mba said that Enugu Youth Policy is the outcome of rigorous consultations, robust engagements, and collaborative efforts. In his goodwill message, the Executive Director, South Saharan Social Development Organization, Dr. Stanley Lechuku, said the organization believes that young people are not just leaders of tomorrow, they are the strength of today. And that was why they gave their support when the process of developing the policy began.
We believe that the young people are not just leaders of tomorrow, they're the strengths of today. And that is why when we began this process with Action Aid, we were glad to stand behind it.
For his part, the country director of Action Aid Nigeria, Andrew Mamedi, said Action Aid Nigeria has remained steadfast in their mission to working with people living in poverty and exclusion, with a strong focus on advancing the rights and aspirations of young people, women, and the marginalized. Represented by the head of program, Action Aid Nigeria, Celestine Odo, the country director, said Enugu Youth Policy, fully supported by Action Aid Nigeria, is a testament to what can be achieved through collaboration between government, civil society, and young people themselves.
The Enugu State Youth Policy, fully supported by Action Aid Nigeria, is a testament to what can be achieved through collaboration between government, civil society, and young people themselves. It provides a framework that prioritizes young youth development, empowerment, participation in governance, education, employment, climate actions, entrepreneurship, social justice.
Mr. Wilfred Emeko KK, who is a consultant, Enugu State Youth Policy, emphasized that and their valuable assets while stating its visions and objectives to develop strategies to better the life of the youths.
Enugu State recognizes the importance and perhaps indispensable role of its youth in promoting sustainable development and addressing socio-economic challenges.
The event was witnessed by youths from different parts of the state, cutting across various sectors, ministries, departments, agencies, education, health, and agriculture. Chidimi Kemede, Aneke TV.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Ofotu. And Good morning to everyone watching. Thank you for joining us this morning. You're watching Sunrise on Aneke TV, your reliable voice every morning, bringing light to your day. I'm Deborah Wakuba, coming to you live from our studio here in vibrant Enugu.
Good morning, and I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, at home, in your office, or in traffic, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful Tuesday morning. Always, we're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, and it's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. And it's another bright new day and another refreshing sunrise where we've got everything you need this morning, from the latest news and weather to trending stories and newspaper review, plus that signature sunrise vibe, and it's all here to help you ease into the day.
So, relax, sip your tea or coffee. Relax and enjoy the ride, because the sunrise is here.
Yes, and on today's sunrise, we begin with our quote of the day, an inspiring or thoughtful words that is educative, encouraging, and it also offers insight to keep us focused, well refreshed, and well driven.
And right after that, we'll give you today's stories from our newspaper headlines. Key updates you need to stay informed will be served hot and direct.
Yes, and right after that, we've also got the weather report for today, covering cities across the southeast, which will help you get prepared before stepping out, or if you've stepped out, which will keep you through the day.
And later, we'll give you today's celebration to keep you informed and lift your spirit.
Yes, so our quote of the day is coming from St. Augustine. Our quote of the day is coming from St. Augustine, and his quote, he says, "He who complains of hunger with bread in hand starves by choice." I repeat, our quote from today is coming from St. Augustine, and his quote, he says, "He who complains of hunger with bread in his hand starves by choice." And this teaches a lesson about attitude, gratitude, and responsibility. And its core meaning is that if a person already has what they need, which is the case of bread to eat, but still complains of hunger, their suffering is not due to lack, but due to choice, negligence, or ingratitude. Now, it's also talking about being contented with what you have. It also highlights that sometimes people overlook or undervalue the resources and opportunities available to them, and they focus instead on what they lack. As a result, they remain dissatisfied even when their needs could be met. And it also suggests that complaining without action keeps a person stuck in a particular place. And hunger here doesn't only mean physical hunger. It can symbolize any form of need in life, maybe knowledge, success, happiness. If someone has the means to satisfy that need but refuses to use it, they remain hungry by their own decision. And this brings me to a quote that also says, what's this quote again? Okay, you don't value what you have until you lose it. I might be wrong, I might be correct about that, but there's a way it is being put. But it's where you say you don't know the value of what you have until you lose it. So now you might have this bread at hand, but instead you have this bread in your hand and you're looking for something else. Now, what if it's that bread in your hand that is going to satisfy the hunger in you at that particular moment, and instead you leave it and going looking after something else there and that? But then once you lose that bread, that's when you realize, oh, it was this bread I was supposed to eat and be satisfied. Now, this quote doesn't necessarily mean bread. It doesn't mean food in particular. It means the resources we have in life to move on. That you when you have it, the little you have, you can actually use it to expand, to go for the bigger things you want. So that is what this quote is trying to tell us. So Uche, I don't know if you have any other thing to say concerning this.
Okay, Debbie, the quote, "He who complains of hunger with bread in hand starves by choice," by St. Augustine, right?
Yes.
It's just simply speaking to contentment. And contentment here is not really referring to food alone. It's about being contented with where you are in life. Whatever situation, wherever you find yourself, be contented. Do not look at, because Debbie is wearing human hair, then you won't be contented the fact that you can afford synthetic hair. Be contented with what you have. Make do with what you have at that point in time. And when you do that, you see that that enables you. It trusts you with the ability to push forward.
Yeah.
And you can achieve beyond that very limit that you are situated. So St. Augustine here is just teaching us through making reference to food why the need for us to be contented. You know, looking at bread, if bread is all you have, and then you complain that, there is no chicken, you understand? You're not hungry. If we're looking at it literally, you're not hungry. You understand? So if it's bread you have, what can you do with bread? There are lots of things that you could do with bread, right?
Yeah.
So why not make do with it? You can take the bread with water. You can make tea. You can fry egg.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
You can use granules.
Good. So there are a lot of, you can toast the bread as well.
Yes.
So there are a lot of things you could do with what you have. So whatever situation, at any point in time, at any given time, wherever you are, baby, the word is contentment.
Yes.
Yes. At this moment, I find myself, I'm trekking. That means I shouldn't look at my next door neighbor who drives a Lexus, and I feel that I'm better positioned, or I should be the one driving Lexus, and I'm trekking, and then you complaining and you're questioning your God and situation. No, be contented at that point in time. Walk towards it, and definitely, situation changes.
Yes, it
You
does.
cannot be stagnant. Recognizing what you have gives you that added advantage of knowing where you want to be,
Yes.
where you want to go, baby. So, St. Augustine captures it very well with this analogy of when you have bread and you're still hungry, it's by choice.
Yes, it's by choice, actually.
Yes, so whatever situation you find yourself and you're complaining,
It's your fault.
It's your fault. You're
Yes.
complaining. Make the best use of that situation. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, my lesson here is that we should recognize and use the resources we have rather than ignoring them or waiting for something better. And complaining won't solve problems, which is making use of what is already in our hands. And by doing so, we can cultivate a more positive and grateful mindset. So please try using what you have to get something else, and don't complain about this and that. Just be contented, like we've been seeing here. Be contented with what you have at the very moment. You might be saying you don't have this. There are other people out there that don't even have what you have at hand, and their case is critical. So you think on the positive side. Okay, I can make do with this. I can go forward with this. So please always keep in mind that every new sunrise brings an opportunity for us to grow, explore something new, learn, or simply be more present. We'll go on a short break, and up next will be the weather update. Hello, I'm Deborah Wakoba.
I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chinwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obobina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
You're still watching Aneke TV. Stay tuned. I will take a look at the weather reports across major cities in the southeast today.
Yes, and we'll begin with Awka, the capital city of Anambra. The day begins cloudy, but showers will roll in by mid-morning. Expect steady rain around late morning into the early afternoon before skies turn mostly cloudy again towards evening.
In Enugu, the coal city, the morning begins with early showers and rainfall greet you this morning, with a few breaks of cloud cover later on. The afternoon stays warm and humid, but do watch out for evening thunderstorms rumbling through the city.
Yes, and in Abakaliki, a wet start with morning rain, then the skies turn mostly cloudy through the day, and by midday and afternoon it gets warmer. But keep your umbrella closed. Showers may pop up again before evening.
And over to the city of Owerri. There will be cloudy skies with showers through the morning. The rain lingers into afternoon, though it should ease off a bit as the evening draws nearer, leaving behind a humid and cloudy night.
And lastly, in Umuahia, the day starts mostly cloudy at first, but rainfall is likely from mid-morning through the early afternoon. Later on, the weather steadies into a cooler, cloudy evening.
All right, so wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, be comfortable, and keep your umbrella handy. Remember, rain or shine, we've got you covered. This is your weather report on the sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll be back shortly.
Hello, I'm Febra Wakoba.
I am Chidimbi Kemede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking a look on today's celebration. And today's celebration, we have the International Day of Sign Languages. Now, what is International Day of Sign Language? Honestly, I'll be truthful to you. This is the first time I'm hearing about International Day of Sign Languages. Well, the day was officially declared by the United Nations in 2017 and first observed in 2018. And the date September 23rd was chosen to honor the founding of the World Federation of the Deaf, WDF, in Rome in 1951. And its purpose is to raise awareness of sign languages, to respect and preserve them, to promote the rights of deaf people, and to emphasize the cultural and linguistic diversity of the deaf community. And each year, there is a key theme that focuses the conversation events and advocacy around some aspects of sign language rights or deaf culture. And some recent themes include Sign Language Unite Us as of 2022. And on 2023, the theme for 2023 was a world where deaf people everywhere can sign anywhere. 2024 was Sign Up for Sign Language Rights. And today is the Day of Sign Languages. And now, why this day is important? This day is a very important day for people all over the world who are deaf. And then sign languages are full natural languages with their own grammar, vocabulary, and complexity. They are not just gestures or simplified version of spoken language. Now, there are people that when they do sign language, people just take it as okay, they are playing with their fingers, but rather it's a way you can communicate to those that, should I say, that are impaired in hearing. Now, early access to sign language for children who are deaf or hard of hearing is crucial for education, cognitive development, social inclusion, identity, and well-being. Now, we know a lot of deaf people find it hard to express themselves, like in vocabulary, like vocals. You can't hear their voice sometimes. So instead, they rather use their hands in signing. So this day is a day set aside for them to socialize. Now, many deaf people still face barriers, lack of access to sign language interpretation, because this day is not the thing about sign language is not known worldwide. So there is insufficient recognition of sign languages by governments. There is also stigma. There is lack of educational opportunities. So this day is a platform to raise those issues. Now, you'll be wondering, how is this day being celebrated? This is not just about playing with your fingers and all that. Well, there are some ways people, governments, institutions, and deaf communities observe this day. So there is public awareness campaigns, There's social media campaigns, there are posters, there are videos that teach sign languages basics or highlight stories from deaf individuals. So we also have some public landmarks and buildings are lit up in blue to show solidarity, and blue is a symbolic color used by the deaf community. So we have another way of celebrating this day is by encouraging national, regional leaders, political figures, mayors, etc. to use sign language publicly or to issue messages in sign language. And there's even a global leaders challenge in some years. And you have educational events is one of the ways which you can celebrate this day. There are workshop, classes, or seminars teaching basic sign language. Also talks on the importance of sign language right school programs. Then lastly, we have cultural events and performances, storytelling, exhibitions featuring deaf artists, events that celebrate deaf culture, sign language, poetry, and many others. So also, we have advocacy and policy work. Now, pushing for legal recognition of national sign languages, demanding more interpreters, access to services, better inclusion of deaf people in education, media, health, etc. Now, you know, as we study other languages in school, like we study French, we study German, we study basics language, well, I feel like sign languages should be studied in school. Tertiary universities, actually, not those tertiary, from primary schools.
Yes.
Because I believe teaching a foreign language, let's say second language to people, starts from small, because children are fast in grasping knowledge than adults. So I believe to create awareness for sign language now, let it not just be that it's just meant for deaf people. It should be something like someone should focus on.
It should go beyond, not just to the tertiary level. If we could have a legislation or a law making it compulsory to learn sign language from the basic education, perhaps up to secondary level, that would be well applauded. Let's leave the tertiary institution.
Yes.
Let's make a law making it mandatory the way we've reintroduced history into our curriculum, right? Let us pass a legislation making it compulsory to teach sign language in basic schools, at least.
Yes.
But beyond that, let's get to secondary level. That way, like you've observed, children learn faster, and that way it will be easier for sign language to be widespread. Thus, you may not even really need specialists to communicate with these partially, handicapped people that cannot really hear. So when you have a number of children, a number of persons in the society who could communicate, maybe if you and I want to communicate, you will see that we'll make a lot of mistakes because we are not well taught.
Yes.
We don't have it. Then how do we communicate when we have a challenging situation with a deaf person? Then it becomes an issue. So for me, Debbie, it should not even be, let's do the little. He did point out that politicians, leaders, mayors government should come in. And I think where they should come in and come in faster, apart from creating an enabling environment for these, our handicapped individuals in the society, they should equally pass that legislation like yesterday. Let's begin to build a harmonious society where everybody is carried along. And then you did mention, in a situation where, let's talk about the health implication, where, let's say, a deaf somebody is ill and has to be rushed to a hospital. How does the person get across what he or she feels is passing through at that point in time? If you don't have a compliant nurse or doctor to take care of that situation. Therefore, like I did mention, we should have that legislation making it mandatory to learn this from the basic schools, Debbie. It will go a long way.
Yes,
Let the society be inclusive and care for one another. Yes.
Well, actually, another thing about sign language, it's an interesting, should I say, it's an interesting language to learn. Actually, there was this period where I wanted to actually go into sign language, but I don't know, I can't remember why I did not learn it anymore. But it was something interesting, like where you have to communicate with your, not only the hand, like in fact, you find out that it's an emotion being passed throughout. Now, if a person who is impaired, like having a hearing problem, now if you find a person like that and you start communicating, most times those people that are deaf, they don't even know how to communicate with their hands.
Okay.
Now it's also it's also an avenue to create awareness that there's a thing called sign language, because you find them trying to, I'm sorry if I can use this, they just make sounds, like trying to communicate to you, and then keep on pointing at that thing that they want. So if parents should find out on time that there's something called sign language, then they can put the child through that school.
There is a school where you can go and learn this
I
language.
think there's a school where you can learn
there
languages.
has to be public awareness. So that people will be informed that they have a special school where they can learn these languages. But for me, I think, yes, in as much as it's very, very pertinent for there to be awareness, for them to go to that school, learn this language, you understand? I think that the larger society equally should be carried along, taught, so that there will be ease of communication. You know, just painted a scenario now, where if there is health challenge, and there has to be a communication challenge as well, it will be very disastrous.
There's a communication
barrier. So the earlier we create awareness, like you just pointed out, create awareness, let people know that there's a school where people could go, the impaired could go learn these languages for ease of communication, and then let the general public equally be carried along, make it mandatory for us to learn, even if it's up to the JS3 level in secondary school, so I could at least be able to communicate the basic. You understand? For someone like me, I think the most I could do if I'm trying to communicate to such a person is maybe the sign that says oneness, perhaps, or maybe I could say, if can you, do you understand? But there's one thing in trying to communicate with the sign language, and if you're not well tutored or informed about it, if you don't know the know-how, the nitty-gritty of it, you may end up communicating the wrong thing. And you see this person picking offense. I remember when we were younger, I think it should be in our primary days, growing up, who had this child. He doesn't go to school, but when we go to play football, he joins us. He plays with us. We could play football. You understand? We could play football together. We could play together, but communication is a barrier. But in play football, there's no challenge. And then when people want to communicate with him, we discover that's when I learned that you could communicate wrongly. You're trying to say a different thing. You meant well, but he picks offense because there is wrong communication here. And then it takes almost virtually everybody a longer time to calm him down because you've communicated wrongly. This one goes to school, yes, I understand. But because we were trying to carry along jolly like children, then you communicate wrongly. He picks offense, right? So, but tracing the point that I'm making, that there should be legislation for everybody to be carried along. And that going a notch higher than this. You see, our society don't care for our either visually impaired people. We don't carry our, these special people along in our society. Look at our public buildings. How many of our public buildings have space for wheelchairs to be rolled in? Go take a look. If you've not noticed, most of our public buildings, we don't take into account or into cognizance that there are special people in the community who may need to access public building. Look at our banks, for instance. How many of them give access to those on wheelchair? These are the issues that we have to, as a society, consciously look into. Then, talking about the deaf, really, there are hearing aids. These hearing aids, are they affordable? Can government subsidize them, make it available, so that these people could at least access it? There are those whose impairment is not so deep or far gone that with hearing aid, they are able to hear. Yes, I've had a student in previous life who uses hearing aid, and this is a very brilliant student. So he could have imagined his fate if he doesn't have a hearing aid. And once in a while, he changes the battery, and he does marvelously well. Abdullahi, yes, I don't forget him because he's one of my favorites then, because he's so intelligent, reads ahead of you, makes conversation. You understand? But for the sake of that hearing aid that was provided by somebody, a philanthropist, he was able to come to school, participate in everything, play with other children. So you could imagine if that wasn't made available. So we should call on our government. At least these are the things that should be subsidized. Instead of subsidizing our politicians, our leaders, we should subsidize stuff like this.
You should see to it that there are more schools. In fact, not even schools, there are more teachers. There are people that go for training for this sign language learning. Because even then, like an encouragement that, okay, because sometimes people say, what's the need of learning this sign language? What are they using it for?
For me,
now, even
teachers in this area of specialization should be well remunerated. You understand? They should be more remunerated compared to others, because what they are doing is not easy. Thank God that Nigeria is becoming more compliant. You see, when we have public engagements and all that, you see people stand by with the sign language, try to communicate what happened. You know, over the years, that wasn't possible. But we're beginning to witness that. And we hope with that, there will be more improvement. There will be more friendly society, allowing for us to carry along our special people.
Yes, that's true. So let us... The essence of this day is to create awareness, not only to citizens, but also to the government, that there is something called sign language. And if it's possible to create schools, create employment, in fact, create a platform where people can be trained or tutored on this, to learn this sign language as a course or something like that. And then in order to help those in need and help those who are handicapped to hearing, help those, in fact, look at the situation of people that really need something. Okay, so please let us know what you're celebrating wherever you are. You can follow us or tag us at Aneke TV across Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube, or call our phone 07030437110. We'll go on a short break, and when we return with the newspaper review, please stay tuned. You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. So let's see what's making front page news today in The Nation, Punch, Vanguard, and The Guardian News. To die, 121,000 displaced. And on the Vanguard headlines, we have procurement, FG rejects U.S. report alleging lack of transparency. And on the Guardian headlines, we have 24 states backpedal on electricity decentralization over tariff debt tricks. Now, on the Nation headline today, we'll be taking Fubara have made peace with Wike. So Governor Fubara of Rivers State met with President Bola Tinubu after 6 months emergency period in Rivers was lifted. So he has declared in a statement that he had made peace with Fubara.
Yeah, that's a welcome development, you know, for Fubara to come out to say that he has made peace with Wike, say about peace on paper and all that. However, let's take a historical look at what really led to all this, where the governor will come to tell us publicly that he has made peace with Wike. Is he everybody that the governor makes peace with? Is he everybody he quarrels he has made peace with? And why is this newsworthy? Remember the situation about 6 months ago in Rivers State, where there has been catastrophe. There has been loggerheads between a godfather and a godson. Let's call it what it is. In as much as we don't want to hear it in our polity any longer, we want to do away with that situation where we have godfatherism, godsons in our politics, but it's still prevalent. There are still godfathers in Nigerian politics till tomorrow. Debbie, if you want to be the councillor of your ward, your local government chairman, there are people you must meet in your
Yes,
area.
yes.
For you to be as much as a councillor, there are people you must meet. So you can't do away with godfatherism. Going forward, even in the United States of America, there are godfathers there. Before the emergence of the likes of former President Obama, there are people who determine who gets nomination from either the Republican Party or the Democrats.
Yeah.
Right? Then, until the emergence of Obama, we now began to see that it's as if we're moving away from that era. However, these strong men, these strong women, still hold sway. They determine a lot of ways the votes could go.
Yeah.
They control the media. They control a lot of resources that at the end of the day, you have to tilt towards them. Then, until the era of the present President of the United States, whom we will see as a godfather himself,
Yeah.
because we don't seem to know anybody. He's self-sponsored. He's not anchored on anyone's
by any-
popularity or leaning towards any known godfather. However, there are still people he needed to meet. There are still people he needed to get their consent, get them on his side for him to be able to get that nomination.
Yeah.
Then, if America, as big as they are, is still having talk about godfatherism in their politics, how much more about Nigeria that will just be going to celebrate 60-something years? You understand? And people don't want us to talk about godfatherism, and when you raise it, people tend to frown at you. Yes, there is godfatherism, and godfatherism is still prevalent. What we are asking for is not to continue to see the Amala politics,
Yes.
for which Adedibu was known for, where what happened in Anambra State around 2003, where a sitting governor was bundled into a toilet and was forced to leave an office. A sitting governor with all the security apparatus, with the immunity and everything, was bundled into a toilet and was whisked away out of government house. And in fact, the government house was burnt
Okay.
until the court removed him from office. You know, before now, we've seen chaos in states where godfathers are the issue of godfather is prevalent, and they are predominant, dictating to governor what to do and what not to do, who to be appointed and who not to be appointed.
Yeah.
These were the issues in yesteryears. However, until recently, given what transpired in Rivers State, even though in our mind, in our kitchen, in our bedroom, yes, we know that he exists, but he doesn't make front headlines any longer. However, what transpired in Rivers State now brought it to fore for us to know that it is still prevalent, and the issue of godfatherism, we are not done with it. They are still godfathers, and they are still holding sway. So what transpired between Wike and Fubara, leading to the 6 months of emergency rule in Rivers State, is a case of a godfather and a godson quarreling, disagreeing. What these agreements are for are still subjects of speculation, because nobody has come to tell us that this is about the welfare of the people of Rivers State. Is still about personal agreements that perhaps were reached before the election, before the emergence of the governor.
Yeah.
The governor we are made to believe, has reneged on these agreements, and the governor has to whip him in line through the use of legislative powers. Who understand that prior to or leading to that election, that the governor is said to have procured the forms for almost all the members of the legislature, and he controls the grassroots, for which the governor tried to wrestle away from him. And I'm of the position, what would you do? No man willingly wants to relinquish political power. No politician willingly wants to relinquish structures that they take time to build to any other person, which for me is the reason why I believe that we've not seen many deputy governors succeeding their governors afterwards.
Yeah.
It really happens, right?
Yeah.
So because nobody wants to relinquish their structures to anybody, even out of office, they want to hold on to this structure. So given to this agreement between a godfather, Wike, and a godson, Fubara, what happened? Things deteriorated to the extent that a state house of assembly was brought down, and they tried to even impeach the governor. They were moved. The governor we saw was locked out from coming to represent a budget as mandated by the courts. The courts told us that there was no government in Rivers State as at that time, leading to a situation where the president had to invoke his powers to establish emergency rule in River State, for which we've argued more than 1 million times that that action is unconstitutional.
Yeah, that's not democratic.
Yes, because the courts have remained silent. When the nation looked upon them to give direction, they went dumb on the nation, and they've been dumb. They've not made a proclamation. This was a judiciary, a Supreme Court that has been prompt to reel out some rulings. Then, when it was needed most, they've gone dumb. We still question, why have they remained silent? What happened? What's stuck in their throat that they are unable to speak on such a crucial issue? Because there has been massive division about the action the president took. Yes, a lot of persons, almost everybody agree on the fact that yes, it's within his right, his constitutional insured right to declare a state of emergency in any part of the federation that's undergoing threats.
Okay.
But going beyond that, what the Constitution, what we needed from the judiciary is to equally tell us if that section of the Constitution, Section 309, empowers him to remove an elected official.
Okay.
And I dare ask, if the president can unilaterally remove an elected official, who removes the president?
That's a big question.
Yes,
actually.
who removes the president? Because the president did remove the elected officials in River State before it goes to the National Assembly, who sang on your mandate will stand, and endorse the action of the president after the president had suspended democracy in River State. So, my question subsists, who removes the president? For you to remove the president, it has to go through the actions of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
You have to get the two-thirds majority of both houses agreeing that the president may have committed an impeachable offense, and then a due process is followed where judicial inquiry is set up to investigate such actions, and when found culpable, then the legislature can proceed to institute actions to remove the president from office. But you must give him fair hearing as well. Okay. Now, in this case, does the president have those constitutional power to unilaterally remove an elected councillor, like we did observe when the vice president was speaking? He brought to fore the point where the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, wanted to remove him from office due to the security situation in his status at that time, but was told by the then speaker and the legislature and his own judicial advisors that, yeah, you have the power to declare a state of emergency, but you lack the power to even remove a councillor. And we saw that the governor was not removed from office. Despite the security situation in Borno as at that time, he served out his tenure. Okay. Nobody removed him from office. Then, why did our judiciary
keep quiet,
go quiet on us? Why didn't they show us direction that this was due, leaving a controversy? Give or take, the 6 months that took place, that 6 months of non-democracy that happened in River State, of state of emergency, will continue to be a dent on our nation because it has set a bad precedent. Give or take whatever the judiciary will pronounce tomorrow. Okay. They has told us that a sitting president at his own whims and caprice could remove any elected official and nothing will happen. Okay. Yes, you know, funnily, I have seen tweets from some people telling those from Lagos State, which is said to be the state of the president, that tomorrow it could be another president removing the governor of Lagos State and then bringing his own pally or anybody, and nothing will happen. Okay. So you've seen that precedent has been set already. And one thing with presidents is that when presidents are set, when it begins to repeat itself, you won't see people standing stoically to kick against it. Now, the 6 months has elapsed, and then the president, in his magnanimous nature, didn't extend the state of emergency by 1 day, but said that they are happy to restore democracy, which I pick a issue with. For the president to come out publicly to tell us that they have restored democracy means that he acknowledges the fact that he doesn't have the power, the right to suspend democracy. Okay. Yes. I still stand to be challenged on that part. And despite whatever the judiciary pronounces tomorrow, I still feel that nobody has the right, even the president has no right to suspend democracy in any part of the nation.
Yeah.
Because people died for this democracy that we enjoy today. People sacrificed a lot for the democracy we enjoy today.
Yeah.
Even the president went on exile for us to enjoy the democracy that we have today. Remember, Mko Abiola lost his life because of democracy. So a lot of persons sacrificed. Even students sacrificed a lot. If we begin to mention people that lost property, people that lost their life, people that are yet to recover because of their actions and inactions following the fight to return Nigeria to democracy, then you see that no one person, no matter position, has the right anywhere to suspend democracy anywhere in this country. Because it was gotten not on a platter of gold, but on plates of blood that were sacrificed. Yes. Then, be that as it may, the president has magnanimously returned Rivers State back to democracy and has allowed the elected officials to resume. Because
justice,
the constitution doesn't mention it, where an elected governor would be removed not by the actions of legislators, right? So, in this case, we'll thank him for that. But Fubara this time around, on going to meet with the president, has said, when questioned, that he has made peace with Wike. That means we're happy to hear that, because it means that all fights, all quarrel, has been settled. So the people of Rivers State, for me, should begin to enjoy the dividends of democracy. It doesn't matter those who are calling on the governor to challenge the actions, or they see his actions of going to the president. According to him, he has gone to seek direction from the president on what to do and directions to follow. Some see that as being cowardly, but for me, that's heroism there. For you to be able to, retrace your step, be able to reconcile with either your oppressor or your friend despite quarrel, for me is a stoic behavior that we don't find in many leaders, right? So I commend him for that. However, the call today should be witness where a sole administrator was appointed.
Let this
not be toyed with. Not tomorrow we'll begin to see headline Wike and Fubara begins to exchange words, or begin to, we'll begin to see Wike in a media chat saying that the governor has lost direction and is not wise or intelligent enough to maintain the peace that has been ensured. No, they should see to it, both the godfather and the godson, that this peace is not just that of the newspaper, but is felt in the creeks in Rivers State, be felt in the streets, in the markets in Rivers State. Let the governor begin not to make trips to Abuja as often as we've seen him start, but make trips to the creeks in Rivers State. Begin to see that these people begin to enjoy dividends of democracy. As far as we are concerned, 6 months have been lost. No matter what you say, you can imagine that the sole administrator is being called by the State Assembly to come and give account of that 6 months. And I bet you, this is Nigeria, who may never know what really happened within that 6 months. Yes, it will we may never know what happened within that 6 months. And Rivers State will never recover that 6 months. No matter what you do, they can only recover that in the annals of history. That's where they will gain something from it, where people will go to make references as to factors that led to the 6 months impasse. That's the only way they can recover anything. But talking about dividends of democracy, they have lost 6 months. The rest of the nation should and must have overtaken them by this time, thanks to the fact that Rivers State is one of those states that is rich in internally generated revenue. Perhaps we may see them being able to pick the pace. But what about the milestone that you have covered all this while? This is what our political leaders should consider. So I will call on our dear Wike to see to it, because he is the elderly man here, to see to it that this peace is peace actually, but not the peace of the graveyard. Yes, let this peace be felt by the market women.
Yeah.
Let this peace be felt by the fisherman and the fisherwoman in River State. Yes. Let Fubara himself see to it that he gives the people of River State dividends of democracy and not dividends of a fight with the Godfather.
Okay.
Let this peace maintain. Let this peace continue to live in River State so that people will enjoy the democracy that peace ensures.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now I'll be moving over to our Punch headline that said, states intensify action as 232 die, 121,000 displaced. Now the flooding across various Nigerian states has killed 232 people and displaced 121,224 as of September 20th, 2025. And we can see that there are states like Kaduna, there are Nasarawa, Bauchi, Jigawa, and so on, which have been affected due to flood and killed up to 232 people.
Debbie, the issue of what we've seen in this headline on the Punch newspaper, right?
Yeah.
Talking about states intensify action as 231 die. You understand? This has become a national situation.
Yeah.
A state of emergency should be declared, not in River State, but on the case of flooding.
Yes.
You know, let's look at it. Let's go a little bit closer. About 7 states lost human lives. Look at Niger State. Only Niger State lost 163 lives. If you go over to Adamawa, they lost about 59 lives. Not just that, move down to Taraba, they lost about 5. Then go to Yobe State, 2 lives were equally lost. And then when you move to Yobe, Gombe, and Bono, you will see about 1 each. Giving you a sum of this number that's been mentioned. These are human lives.
Exactly.
If nations like Israel could go to war for 1 soul, 1 person,
just 1,
then how come a Nigeria that is richly blessed, richly endowed with material resources, with human endowment, how can we stay and we are quiet when we are losing a whole lot of lives? Across the Federation, there is no region that is not touched by flooding. I was thinking that the eastern part of the country was insured or imbued from the flooding. But when you look at it, when you go deeper, you see that Imo State was equally affected. They are not, the eastern Nigeria is not immune from it. Going forward, you see that River State, Delta, all of these states were equally affected. Not to mention other states like Bayelsa, Edo, Ondo, Sokoto, and the rest of them. Kogi as well. So you see that this is a situation that cuts across the Federation. My reason why we should declare a state of emergency. In fact, I don't know if I will make comparison, though unrelated, by the number of lives we lose in this country. Think of those killed by bandits. Think of those killed by kidnappers.
No, it's not
think
of
those
in lives alone. Homes and like farmland.
Let's talk about the sanctity of human life for me.
Okay.
I'm making a comparison here that a nation like Israel is ready to wipe the whole of Gaza for the sake of 1 life lost. Right?
Yeah.
And then Nigeria, we are not at war. I'm just trying to say, not to talk about those who die by act of terrorism, but we are still losing through floods. These are situations. So what is life worth in Nigeria? When are we when do we start to take serious action to see that the Nigerian life is not lost at ease, not at every situation, not at even to weather conditions. These are foreseeable occasions because they have happened over and over again and again. So we should be able to begin to anticipate. Now, in this year alone, we've lost this number of lives. We should be able to begin to anticipate for 2026 to say that this can no longer happen again. These are areas that we should declare states of emergency. Our leaders, have they gone to visit the bereaved? Have they gone to this scene to see what really happened in these places? These are what we should be calling for. You know, the way we lose people in this nation. Look at what happened. Look at the fire incidents in Lagos the other day. In a high-rise building of that magnitude, of that worth, we just lost people to fire. There were no emergency mechanism for situations like that.
Yeah.
That people had to jump from high-rise building. So these are the situations in Nigeria. And until our leaders begin to take account to the sanctity of human life, the sacrosanct of human life, then situations like this will continue to emerge. I am not saying that is they are making, but the buck stops on their table. They are the decision makers. Thanks to NEMET, I know that NEMET over time will give signal, inform people of situation, that this situation that there will be flooding in so times, so area. Yes, they are trying. But what are we doing as a nation? What is our policy as a nation against emergency situations like this? Yeah. So this is why I call on our leaders that emergency should be declared on flooding, because it has cut across virtually every region in Nigeria. So we'll begin to rethink our approach to situations. Yeah. Debbie, when you go forward to this, you will see that these are the reported situations. Yeah. What about the unreported cases? You see that we're talking about the human rights loss. We're not talking about those that lost their property.
Yes, exactly.
There are houses that were razed. There are people that have lost their source of livelihood. How will they recover? We're not talking about the injured. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of situation. That's why I am so hyped and in talking about this situation that we should declare a state of emergency here, or we should even toe the United Nations line of action, their anticipatory active action on emergency situations like this. And thanks to their policy of Central Emergency Fund, from which they've been able to give to Nigeria about $7 million to assist in this situation.
Okay.
But for me, it goes beyond the emergency fund. Yeah. What do we do to prevent the situation? What's the state of our dams? What's the state of our reservoirs?
Yeah.
When last did we construct a dam? When you construct a dam, you're able to hold in large volume of water, and then you could be able to release them periodically. With big dams constructed, maintained, you will be able to hold in this flooding and then begin to release it at your own pace. So we'll call on government to, take preventive measures, preventive actions to see to it that this excess water can be, caged and then, released as at when and how government wants it. Yeah. Then talk about cleaning our drainages as well.
I wanted to even say something about that actually, because now let's not just say it's in aspect of government. Now citizens are also involved in this.
Yes.
Because you find out that most drainage or most are filled up with dust bin, like your dust bin waste. The people go there to throw things into that place. So I think it's something that also causes water from flowing very well. Yes. And also makes erosion, as in makes it difficult for that water to pass or being held. Yes. Now it becomes a problem. So now not only are we calling on the government, we're also calling on we, the citizens. Let's bring it to ourselves. We are also at fault when it comes to disposing of our waste, because we don't see where to throw it, but instead you rather throw it into the gutter and into everything. So it blocks this water from passing through. So that's what I wanted to also.
Yes, Debbie, you're very correct. When I say that we should declare a state of emergency, it's not, when you declare a state of emergency, it's not just a government action.
Okay.
It's declaring an action on everybody. It's a collective. You understand? It's not just on the part of the government alone. Okay. Like you did observe, it's equally on the citizen. But a state of emergency will heighten the situation. Okay. Now, let me ask, what is our level of our awareness concerning flooding? What's the level of our awareness concerning the drainage system that we'll talk about? So, in a state of emergency, when you declare a state of emergency over a situation, you heighten awareness. Then you begin to raise higher awareness on such issues. Okay. You see to it that people stop pouring waste in drainages. Now, this nation, that people will stop building on waterways. These are the issues. So when, when I started, I tried to lay emphasis on the sanctity of human life. Okay. If we lay emphasis on the sanctity of human life, then they will take the needful action to see to it that we will begin to take actions that will necessitate that situations like this will not happen. Because it asks me that when you go to see what is the response like in this situation of flooding, where if you go to the relief camps where we keep them, you see that there are inadequate provision of materials and resources that they will need compared to when they are at home. That's why I'm calling on this state of emergency to be declared on a situation like this.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Well, now we'll be moving over to our next paper, which is from the Vanguard, that says procurement. FG rejects U.S. report alleging lack of transparency. And the U.S. Department of State 2085 Fiscal Transparency Report said Nigeria is among several countries criticized for not making procurement contract sufficiency public. So, and then in the Guardian headline, we also have 24 states backpedal on electricity decentralization over tariff debt risk. And under the Electricity Act, Nigeria is pushing for decentralization in the electricity sector, giving states more regulatory control. But we have 24 states that are resistant or refusing to move ahead because of concerns about tariffs, subsidy burdens, debt, and revenue shortfalls.
All right, Debbie, I suppose for want of time, we'll lump the two together.
Yeah.
You know, it's talking about the Vanguard headline, right? Where it says procurement FG rejects US reports. Yeah.
Alleging lack of transparency.
Okay. Now, we've heard from the US, you know, talking about the ease of doing business, right? And then the shrewdness surrounding our transparency when it comes to public procurement in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, the government is saying that we should not mind the report from the US report on procurement and the transparency surrounding it, that Nigeria is okay in that regard, right? But we cannot disregard this, Debbie. You understand? Given the fact that this same report praised Nigerians' openness when it comes to budgeting documentation and making it open. So we cannot just look away in that. The same nation, the same report commended us for our openness in declaring our debt obligations, right? So when it comes to where it favored us, the government didn't say anything. But when it doesn't favor us, then we begin to raise concern, raise alarm, and then people should not take that. The people should take that with a pinch of salt, or people should disregard that. No, we shouldn't just disregard that. When, you know, when this report comes out, it now begins to show you about a certain malaise or decay in our system. Now, if the government that is telling us to disregard that, did they tell us the situation there? Yeah. If we have made our debt obligation public, our budget documentation public, what's stopping us for making our procurement process public as well? Yes. What are the process? Can you then be logging and go into FCT procurement act for and see what's happened there, how is awarded and all that? Can you find that anywhere? And you're saying we should disregard the action? No, we should be able to question. And in fact, according to this report, Nigeria was among the 32 states, 32 countries that they looked into. And then they discovered that the fiscal policy in among these 32 nations was very poor. Do you understand? Yeah. And then that begins to call to account with the ease of doing business in Nigeria. People have all complained about the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Is it transparent enough? Is it seamlessly? There are a procedure where we know who applied for so and so thing, that this award was given to so and so company, so and so individual. If you process the tendering and everything for which you've given Mr. Oluchukwu the award, if you give Mr. Christopher or Mr. Ola an award to procure medical equipment, make it public. Let's see the tendering for such procurement. Yeah. First of all, you have to publish. Do we really see publication for an act of procurement of government? Do we see that? So make it transparent enough, and then reports like this will not indict you, and they wouldn't waste space and time to tell us to disregard such reports. But in the end of the day, the transparency in fiscal space who will it help? It helps Nigeria the more, because it creates an enabling business environment, right? Yes, it creates an enabling business environment that will promote international macroeconomics and increase stability in microeconomics. This will allow even foreign investors to have confidence in your economy, to want to be able to come in report by the United States investigation on transparency on this procurement issue, you begin to see that this will help in being able to check money laundering in the nation.
Yes.
You understand? And then you begin to even give you access to check the risk that you run from financial crimes. The issue to be able to trace the terrorist financiers and other that we've been clamoring for. So when you have this level of transparency, you'll be able to check this. And then, what about government-owned major enterprises? They should be able to declare their debt status. They should be able to make it public. This should be public knowledge. It shouldn't be shrouded in secrecy and all that.
Yeah.
So until the government begins to look at this, and then we'll see that there's a transparency, we can't disregard the action or the publication from US concerning this sector.
Okay.
And then concluding by looking at the electricity sector, where on the Guardian, right?
Yes.
24 states backpedaling from
Electricity
decentralization
decentralization over
and
tariff debt risk.
You know, Debbie, the issue of why I'm laughing is that, you know, for over a decade now, we've been on the issue of power generation in the country, power distributions. We've done a lot of reforms to see to it that there's, that will in sort of sanctify this and then see to it that Nigerians enjoy availability of power. Yes, but along the line, as we journey along, we begin to see that a whole lot of challenges continue to emerge. And with this headline, you see that Nigeria's push for decentralization of electricity market is equally seeing hiccup. Remember that there's been an act, you understand, Electricity Act that was signed and implemented since over 2 years now, called the Electricity Act, which empowers states, you understand, to equally participate in area of generation of electricity. And since this has been done, only about 12 states has gained autonomy to really generate. You understand, they've gained the autonomy to generate. But so far, Nigeria is enjoying only about 4,000 megawatts. Has the subnationals be able to generate anything to add to what the nation is generating? The answer is basically little or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So when you see headlines like this, you now begin to look, what are the issues here? For me, the bottom line here is that states wouldn't want to take responsibility because no politician, the subnationals those who want a situation whereby the people will see them as that government that increases tariff for their people. They don't want when people are paying more for energy. They will say that is Governor Oluchukwu is during his era or during the era of Governor Debi that power was increased, that they had to pay more. You know, bringing it home to Enugu State, you saw the impasse with what happened when EERC, Enugu State Regulatory Commission, tried to reduce the tariff for band A's in Enugu State from 208 naira per kilowatt to 160 naira per kilowatt. You saw what happened. There was a fracas here and there. So there was, you understand, because according to the subnational shouldn't be able to fix price on what it didn't generate. How can you fix a price on a goods that you didn't manufacture? How do you know the cost of production and all that? So that became an impasse. So in looking at all this, in as much as, yes, there's been a milestone covered in terms of power generation and distribution, but I call on our government, I call on the subnationals, we should equally sit down again and rethink this system and see the level of what we'll do to see that these situations, that the subnationals don't run away from the table, but everybody should come together and see how we increase what we're enjoying today, moving from 4,000 megawatts higher than that, and see that there's a seamless symbiosis between the subnationals and the national at the area of national generation, right? And I was happy the other day when I saw a headline that Enugu State government pledges to generate some kilowatts from coal, that. So there are issues of gas turbine and others should equally be looked into. let's see the way and possible way that we would congest attention on these 4,000 megawatts and see to it that the nation continue to enjoy seamless generation and distribution of power.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, thank you very much for that. And please, please, and please do not forget that you can grab your physical copies from any of your favorite vendor or catch the e-paper online. And also do not forget to follow us or tag us across our social media feeds at Aneke TV across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, or call our phone number 07030437110. Well, it's a wrap on today's edition of Sunrise on Aneke TV. Like I always say, it's a pleasure having you on the show every morning and staying with us till this very moment. I am Deborah Nwakoba.
And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. So, stay bold, be unique, and keep watching Aneke TV to come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Ability is the power or skill to do something. It is more like a license to take over. And anytime ability is underutilized, failure becomes inevitable. It is on this note that we are bringing you this edition of Youth Focus on Aneke Television. It is the program that cares about the young people as it corrects the errors found in the behavior of the young people in all of the things they do. My name is Chukwamaka Obasi. To achieve this, we will make opinions, we will give commendations, motivations, criticisms, and lots more. Don't forget to find us in our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, X, and TikTok. Thank you so much for being there. Our topic for today is students' ability to pass exams. And of course, in the studio with me today are two young people who have not only passed through their secondary school, they have also passed through the 4 walls of university. And as students, they passed all their exams. That is why they are here today. Thank you so much for being there. From my left is a chartered accountant. She is Petronila Nchedo Inagolo. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
She's a chartered accountant working with the National Institute for Cultural Orientation. And I have Stephen Chima. He is a lawyer, he is a writer, and personal development coach. You are welcome on the show.
Thank you.
All right, let me begin with you, Petronila. What's the core essence of examination in schools?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think that the essence of examination is to test students, to test their understanding of what they've been taught. It's a way of assessing how good their teacher is and how they understand what the teacher teaches them. When you assess them with exams, some may do well, some may not do well, and there could be a lot of reasons for that.
Okay, thank you so much. Steve, I don't know if you agree less to the definition Petronilla gave to this.
Yes, of course. The definition she gave was well on point. And just to add a little more to it, examination has become a very powerful tool to test the knowledge of students. And I will also say that it is sort of a feedback mechanism that schools have arranged in order to be able to, from time to time, assess the extent to which the students have been able to assimilate the knowledge they've been taught, the courses they've been put through. So to that degree, I am going to say that examination is a very defining mechanism in schools. In fact, in some schools, in some institutions, examinations are seen as a festival or a ceremony on its own. It's sort of the biggest thing happening in school. Everybody may be taking school easily, softly, until the day the exams are announced, and you find that people just get serious overnight because of how powerful that particular exercise has become. And sometimes people come up with some kind of questions and arguments. Why do we even need exams?
Thank you so much. I think you are giving us a broader kind of definition to what examination is all about. That's very good. Petronilla, could you please share with us what your ability to pass exams was those days in your school?
Okay, secondary school, right?
The secondary school, university, your ability is your ability.
Okay, I've been someone who knows that whatever I do, I give my best. So when it comes to school, I was that child that would go to school, pay attention. I was one of those who sit in front. My mom is a teacher, she still is. So you cannot afford to fail. You cannot afford to fail. So I go to school, come back, I try to do my assignments, and what I don't understand, my mom helps out. And then when I got to secondary school, being a boarder, I was able to take advantage of the times for prep, which is the time you have to read, do your assignments, and all that. But one thing I know is that everybody has different levels of understanding. I'm someone who, maybe if I have an exam, I can start reading when I see my exam timetable. So when I see exam timetable, I know that this thing is here. There's no playing anymore. But then there are people that will need to start studying when school starts, knowing that they don't grasp things easily. So you have to know where you belong and then plan yourself very well. So not like I don't read at all, but I probably maybe joke around studies. But once I see exam timetable, both in my secondary school, my university days, and currently,
you sit up. I
just know that there is no playing around. So that helped me, and also managing my time very well. Okay. A lot of people read with exam time, they have timetable for studies. Maybe today they are going to study mathematics, tomorrow it's English, and it works for some. But for me, I can pick up anything that interests me and read. But that is me. But I will advise anybody, if you can, read with timetable. It helps you cover more, because my ability is not your ability.
All right, thank you so much. That's a very apt one. Steve, she talked about time management as a student. What effect does that have to a student who wants to have that ability or robust ability to pass exams at all time?
Time management is at the core of exam success, and I dare say success in anything at all. If you don't have the ability to manage your time effectively, it is going to have an impact in the outcome of what you do, be it exam, be it any other thing at all. So in the context of student life, some of the people that are in secondary school, or even if you are in the university, in the higher institutions, you discover that there are multi-layered activities that happen in school. It's not just teaching and learning, so to say. Those who she said she was a boarder, I believe you were not just going to class and coming out and reading your books. No. There are so many other activities that are structured in every institution in order to enable the students to have a balanced life. So when you have to deal with multiplicity of tasks, it is very essential that you now learn how to manage all of those activities so that you have time stipulated for your studies and time for other things. And that is why when you talk about time management, any student who has not learned that art of managing time well is definitely going to probably delve into non-essentials. Like in the tertiary institution, there are so many things that can occupy your time. Social activities, political activities, in some cases, academic activities, extracurricular stuff. So time management is your ability to understand that the principal reason why I am here is to study and to make good grades, all right? And you cannot talk about time management without having a timetable. She talked about timetable. I think I am part of the people that it works for a lot. It is very difficult to track my activities if I don't intentionally put them down on paper so that I will be able to follow them. And that is why sometimes I fall out of those structured activities, but I know I have to redesign the timetable so that I will keep following it. All right. So it is your ability to say, this is Monday, and these are the things that I'm going to do. I have time to study. Some people, they study most effectively at night. Others, it works for them in the morning or during the daytime. So if studying works for you more during the daytime, that means you are going to put a greater chunk of your time to study during the day. If it works for you at night, you are going to have to put greater chunk of your time to study at night. So that is one essence of time management. And also understanding that while you are putting out time to study, there are also other activities. For example, church. For example, human relationship. For example, belonging to clubs in school. All of these things are the things that must be captured in your timetable so that you give a little bit of your time to all of these things that will also make you a complete person.
So give a little bit of your time to all of the things you have. If you are joining us now, it's Youth Focus on Aneke TV. My name is Chukwuemeka Obasi, and our topic for today is students' ability to pass examination. Are you a student? Are you intending student? However it may be. We are moving on, and I have wonderful guests here. One is a chartered accountant working with the National Institute for Cultural Orientation. She is Petronila Inagolo Nchedo. Thank you so much for coming. And I have Steve Chima, who is a writer, a lawyer, and a personal developmental coach. Thank you so much. Let's continue. I was going to ask you, Petronila, when you said you are the type that begins to read as soon as you saw your examination timetable. Yes, how did that work for you? Do you think you managed your time well, having waited till you saw the examination timetable and you started reading?
Like I said, not like I don't study at all. I read, but not with that intent that exam is there. You know, when exam timetable comes out, you just know that you have to do this. So if you used to read a page a day, you know that you have to increase it. You can decide, oh, today I'm going to deal with this. I'll touch this course and touch this course. I'll touch this subject and touch this subject. So I do more intense studies when I see my exam timetable. Otherwise, every other thing I do before then is just you're a student, you know that once in a while you have to open your books.
Okay.
But then it works for me because I assimilate things easily,
Okay.
and so it was easier for me.
All
But
right.
then, like I said, while at it, I have to manage my time very well, because waiting for exam timetable to be out and you don't manage your time, you're shooting yourself in the
I
head.
understand that in your own way you managed your time and it worked for you.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Stephen Chima, let me come to you once again. What do you have to say about this popular saying that exam is not a true test of knowledge?
Exam is not the true test of knowledge. I've heard it, time and again from different places, from the mouth of so many people, and sometimes that argument is fronted in order to dissuade some people who believe that intelligence begins and ends in the classroom, or people who think that, oh, I have a good grade, and that means I'm the best of all the people here. And I believe that we should balance that argument, all right? When people say that examination is not the true test of knowledge, I believe that statement to the extent that there are so many other indices with which to test the knowledge or the intelligence of a person outside of classroom exam situation that most students find themselves in. Personally, I believe that intelligence, or what you call knowledge, is multi-layered. All right, it is not just your ability to write exam and pass it. Okay, and that is why I believe that there are so many people who may not be able to have that level of cognitive intelligence to pass an exam in a classroom structured situation, but they have competencies in other domains outside of teaching and learning and writing exam and passing it. You have, for example, what I may call social intelligence, that you see somebody who may not be the best in the classroom, but outside the classroom, in a social setting, the person possesses a level of interpersonal intelligence. He can relate with people. He understands the dynamics of relationships. He can land deals that the most intelligent person in the class cannot land, all right? He knows how to coordinate events. And that is a side of intelligence. The person may not have an A in the classroom, all right, but outside the classroom, there are people who are gifted, and that's coming about gifted in music, kinesthetic intelligence. They are very athletic, but they may not be the best in class. So if you put up a test based on biology or mathematics or law, in my own case, and you say the best person from this law exam is the best through and through, that may not be the actual representation of the intelligences of the people that are writing that exam, because there are some conditions, maybe as we go ahead we may come to that make some students to have better grades than others, so several of them.
We shall come to that.
Yes.
We shall of course come to that. Petronilla, I don't know if it is right to believe with Chima that life is multifaceted. Somebody can be good in a classroom may not be good in other areas. Yes. And some other people can be good in other areas, as he's itemized, and won't be good, particularly in the classroom work and examination. What do you have to say about that?
I agree with him. I'll give an example. You can send someone to school and the person is struggling to understand what he or she is being taught. And the person's exam result, it's always bad. But if you try to nurture that person, you will find out that there are other areas where that person is striving, doing very well. Somebody may not be good in the classroom and the exam, but the person have what they call Aneke. This person is very good at this. Bring something that is spoiled, the person fixes it. So now, if we begin to nurture people and find out where they thrive better, where they do well, where they have this high level of interest in, and put them in that area, guiding them, even if it's sending them to schools that have to deal on those areas, it's better. So I agree with him. You can send someone to school and she may not do well, but once you enroll that person into a fashion school, you see her do wonders. And same thing applies to some of the men.
Okay, permit me to take it from there. Stephen, for instance, now you're a parent and your child went to school at the end of the term, comes back with a good result. What impression does it create to the child and to you as a parent?
Yes, I think this is probably very obvious at first glance. You have just painted a photograph of a successful student that comes back to the parents and maybe comes back with a good result, maybe a good grade from school. To the child itself, himself, or to the student himself, it sends a lot of message to him. And the first message it sends to him is, oh, I'm good, all right? Passing an exam is success on its own, all right? Especially when you are coming tops of your class. It makes the student to have this level of confidence in himself that I can do well and I have succeeded. And this is evidence that maybe he may be somebody who's gone through sleepless nights trying to study, trying to consult materials to prepare himself very well for that exam situation. It's like God has paid me back, or this is a good result, a reward for my hard work. All right, so that is how the feeling comes off as an achievement, particularly as a very huge achievement to the student. And it also helps him to now begin to have confidence in his strategy, because any strategy that works increases the confidence of the one who has applied it. Maybe
Good afternoon and welcome to News at 3 on Aneke TV. First, the headlines. 2025 Badge B Stream 2 NYSC orientation course begins tomorrow. Enugu State begins transition to smart green schools. National Assembly unseals Office of Senator representing Kogi Central. Naira depreciates against dollar as FX reserves hit 6-year high of $42 billion. I'm Deborah Wakaba with the details of the news. The National Youth Service Corps NYSC has announced that the 2025 Badge B Stream 2 orientation course will commence nationwide tomorrow across all orientation camps. According to a statement issued via its official Facebook page, the scheme said registration will run until midnight on Friday, while the swearing-in ceremony is scheduled for the same day. The statement said the Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, urged all prospective corps members to report to the camps indicated in their call-up letters, stressing the need for compliance with all registration requirements. Foreign trade graduates are expected to present their international passports and original copies of uploaded documents. Now to education. The Ondo State government has sanctioned 2 secondary school principals over the collection of illegal charges and items from students in public schools. The Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Ibekele Ajibefun, made this disclosure in an interview with newsmen in Akure. Professor Ajibefun, who declined mentioning the names and schools of the affected principals, said they were fingered in the alleged illegal collection of fees. He explained that some parents had reported to the ministry that some principals were charging above their approved levies and also collecting items that were not approved from their students. The commissioner lamented that some head teachers and principals were in the habit of collecting levies not approved by the government from the students. Meanwhile, Enugu State yesterday officially began the transition from existing primary and junior secondary schools to smart green schools. Governor Peter Mba's signature initiative in the southeast states. In a broadcast to usher in the new era, Governor Mba said the shift from old school structures and learning by memorization to world-class infrastructure and experiential learning had become imperative to equip Enugu children with knowledge and skills to compete in the global economy. Governor Mba said his administration's slogan, "Tomorrow is here," was not just a catchphrase for Enugu but a covenant with that future, adding that Africa's sovereignty rests on the quality of its human capital. In the meantime, the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, has attributed the rising involvement of Nigerian youth in financial crimes to parenting failures and neglect within the family units. Speaking in Kaduna at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Mr. Olukoyede, represented by the Acting Director of Kaduna Zonal Directorate, Assistant Commander of the EFCC, Bawa Usman Katungo, warned that family neglect has dire consequences, exposing young people to economic and financial crimes. He noted that neglect often stems from poverty, ignorance, abdication of responsibility, and substance abuse, which manifests in the failure of families to provide emotional, psychological, and material support to children. Mr. Olukoyede expressed concern that some tertiary institution students arrested for internet fraud often cite financial hardship and lack of family support as justification for their involvement in cybercrime. Also, the Chief Executive Officer of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa, has called on families to take proactive steps towards preventing drug abuse among children, including acquiring drug test kits for home use. General Marwa insisted that it was better to detect drug use early when intervention is possible than to wait until it develops into full-blown addiction. General Marwa, who spoke in Abuja, warned youth to stay clear of drugs as it destroys ambition, extinguishes hope, and robs young people of a bright future. This news at 3 is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can follow us on all social media feeds on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok, and here on YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, a quick reminder of major developments in the news. 2025 Batch B Stream 2 NYSC rotation course begins tomorrow. Enugu State begins transition to smart green schools. And up ahead, National Assembly unseals office of Senator representing Kogi Central. Naira depreciates against dollar as FX reserves hit CCA high of $42 billion. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back. Several states, including Kaduna, Nasarawa, Bauchi, and Jigawa, have intensified campaigns to avert flood crisis. According to figures obtained from the National Emergency Management Agency, no fewer than 232 persons have lost their lives, while 121,224 others have been displaced following floods that swept through parts of the country as of September 20th. The 2025 flood dashboard shows that at least 339,658 people also recorded some form of losses, with 681 sustaining various degrees of injuries. Away from that, the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has launched a strong legal offensive against the federal government, describing the criminal defamation charges filed against her as a brazen act of political persecution and an exhibition of double standard by the federal government. In a preliminary objection, seeking the dismissal of the 6 count filed against her by the Attorney General of the Federation, the Kogi senator contended that while the federal government was quick to file charges against her based on the complaints of the President of the Senate, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, the same government ignored her own earlier petitions against Akpabio. The charges fled under the cybercrimes were brought following petitions by Mr. Akpabio and ex-Kogi State Governor Mr. Yahaya Bello over remarks she had allegedly made during a public address and a television review. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has released the final list of candidates who will contest in the 2026 Federal Capital Territory Area Council election scheduled for next year. According to the Commission, the final list includes candidates from 17 political parties who successfully uploaded their nomination forms and met the August 11, 2025 deadline. The list contains details such as the candidates' names, parties, ages, gender, and academic qualifications. In a statement signed by the National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumeku, INEC confirmed that the full list has been made publicly accessible. Still talking election, the traditional ruler of Oka Kingdom in Anambra State, Igwe Gibson Nwosu, has charged the people of the state to embrace peace, especially before, during, and after the November 8th governorship election in the state. He made the call in Oka when he received the zonal head, Southeast Peace Building Office, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Amaka Uzodinma. The monarch also reiterated the need for people to embrace peaceful coexistence as to enjoy democratic dividends. Igwe Nwosu, who is a retired Nigerian Air Force pilot, said with peaceful coexistence, citizens will enjoy uninterrupted progress, infrastructural growth, and insecurity will be properly checked. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has postponed its planned resumption of plenary sessions by 2 weeks, moving the date from today to Tuesday, October 7, 2025. In an internal memorandum to lawmakers, Clerk of the House, Mr. Yahaya Danzaria conveyed the adjustment. No official reason was given for the postponement. Also, the Senate has postponed its planned resumption of plenary sessions by 2 weeks, moving the date from today to Tuesday, October 7, 2025. The upper chamber had adjourned on July 24, 2025 for its annual holiday and was expected to resume today. In a statement to lawmakers, the Chief of Staff to the President of the Senate, Mr. Chinedu Akubeze, announced the adjustment. No official reason was given for the postponement. Mr. Akubeze, while expressing regret over the shift, urged senators to take note of the new date and adjust their schedules accordingly. In the meantime, the National Assembly has unsealed the office of the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. According to reports, her office, located in Suite 2.05 of the Senate wing, was unsealed today by the Sergeant at Arms of the National Assembly, assisted by security personnel. The office had been under lock since March 6, 2025, when the senator was suspended from the Red Chamber. In a video shared on Tuesday, the Deputy Director of the Sergeant at Arms, Alabi Adedeji, was seen removing the red seal on the office door. Now over to business news. The Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO, Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says Nigeria has what it takes to lead Africa's new era of trade if it tackles high logistic costs, develops efficient payment systems, and invests in value addition. Ms. Okonjo-Iweala, who was speaking on the sidelines of the WTA Public Forum in Geneva, Switzerland, said Nigeria and other African economies must speed up the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, and build stronger infrastructure to unlock billions of dollars in opportunities in manufacturing, services, and digital trade. Also in business, the Naira recorded marginal depreciation against the dollar at the official foreign exchange to begin weekly on a bearish note despite the country's external reserves rising to a 6-year high of $42.3 billion as of September 19, 2025. The Central Bank of Nigeria's data showed that the Naira weakened slightly to 1,488.60 Naira on Monday, down from 1,487.90 Naira exchange last week on Friday. This means that the Naira dropped by 0.7 Naira against the dollar on Monday when compared with 1,487.90 Naira at the close of the week last week. Meanwhile, at the black market, the Naira remained stable at 1,522 Naira per dollar on Monday, the same exchange rate as on Friday, when the country's currency outpaced other foreign currencies significantly. This comes with consistent rise in the country's external reserves, reaching 2 years high of $42.3, according to the Apex Bank data as of September 19, 2025. Now to sports. Santos forward Neymar has hit out of the organizers of the Ballon d'Or over Barcelona winger Rafinha's fifth-place finish in the 2025 edition. The 33-year-old made his feelings clear about the 2025 Ballon d'Or rankings, calling Rafinha's fifth-place finish a huge joke. Recall that Ousmane Dembele won the 2025 Ballon d'Or ahead of Lamine Yamal on Monday night. Rafinha, however, finished in fifth position behind the likes of Dembele, Yamal, Vinha and Mohamed Salah. However, Neymar was unimpressed with Rafinha's final position in the 2025 Ballon d'Or's ranking. The former Paris Saint-Germain star took to social media on Monday night to express his frustration, saying his fellow Brazilian compatriot's position is a huge joke. Now to entertainment. Nigerian music icon Davido has officially become a member of the Recording Academy, the body responsible for the Grammy Awards. As a voting member, the Afrobeat superstar will now play a role in shaping the outcomes of music's most prestigious honors. Describing the milestone, Davido called it a game changer. The singer added that he is honored to join the Academy and is looking forward to contributing to the voting process. To end the news at 3, here are the main points. The National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, has announced that the 2025 Batch B Stream 2 orientation course will commence nationwide tomorrow across all orientation camps. Enugu State yesterday officially began the transition from existing primary and junior secondary schools to smart green schools, Governor Mba's signature's initiative in the Southeast state. We also told you that the Naira recorded marginal depreciation against the dollar at the official foreign exchange to begin weekly on a bearish note despite the country's external reserves rising to a 6-year high of $42.3 billion as of September 19, 2025. That ends